Very good evening, everybody. Nice to have your company wherever you're tuning in all around Australia or indeed the world on the platforms of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. Welcome to night 4 of week 8 in term 4 of 2023. Yes, can you believe it? We're only a fortnight away from the checkered flag falling for the final time on season 2023 as far as our weeknight prime time showing and offerings are concerned. And tonight we take you to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada. We've been very much looking forward to this one, ladies and gentlemen. First up for the great people at Spreyton Cider, it is Formula V, races 22, 23, 24 of the campaign. Then, of course, we jump over to the Fuji International Speedway for the second time this week. And for the second time, we're going endurance racing, 60 minutes worth of Spreyton Cider Porsche Cup action coming your way. I'm Zach Caban. Daniel Correa-Sarr is here alongside me. There's the track and weather conditions for you, ladies and gentlemen. 20 to 11 in the morning, Canadian Eastern Daylight Time there, of course, in that part of the world, given that the server is set way back when, 6 months back in May 15, 2023, 26 degrees the ambient, 39 on track, perfect conditions for Formula V racing. And if you haven't watched Formula V racing around the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve before, strap yourself in, buck up, and hold on, ladies and gentlemen, because it is well worth the price of admission. Some of you will know. You'll be perfectly aware because we have... hello to you, Graham Stewart. Nice to have you on board. Plenty of smack being spoken here tonight. Don't worry about that. We've got plenty to sink our teeth into because apart from Formula V, we've also got the option of going around the grounds, not once but 3 times tonight. There's some MDL on. There's some Cricket World Cup on, the second semi-final, Australia and South Africa. There's a Socceroos World Cup qualifier against Bangladesh as well. But our focus is Formula V. And this, I must admit, this was captain's choice, ladies and gentlemen, when Sam Chapman was deliberating on what circuits he'd like to include in the calendar. He wanted to pick my brain about it. And I said, you cannot miss out on an opportunity to go racing at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve on the Ile Notre Dame in Montreal, Canada. Right, we're ready to rock and roll for race 1. Another pole position for Chris Noble. Nick Woods there alongside him. Sam Chapman and Lane Thoburn from row 2. Glenn Riddell and Kevin Henderson from 3. Tony Baker and Grant Gill from 4. Adam Lavis and Sean McKenzie from row number 5. Row 6 is where you're going to find Pete Matson and Phil Butler. Row 7, Robert McGrath and Brendan Neal on row 8. Bevan Moyes and Liam Banks. And let's see, Philip King's going to line up 17th and last on the grid here. Where the bloody hell is everybody tonight? This is one of the great tracks for Formula V racing. I'm disappointed there's not 40 of them on the grid. However, what we lack in quantity will make up for with quality. I promise you that. We do it every single time. We are set to rock and roll. Thursday night motorsport, third last outing of the season, Spreyton Cider Formula V. And, of course, we couldn't do this without Spreyton and also, of course, the great people that support the club each and every season and ensure that we were able to go racing in the first place and broadcast it more to the point. It may include Waste Options, Orbic Australia, Login Systems, Player One, SimGear, Lobesy Racing, Amwave Australia, and Flash Graphics. Porsche's coming up for you. Will Matt Dench rock up? Will he secure title number 8 in both GT3 and Porsche in a couple of weeks' time? Only time will tell. But our focus in the interim is the main course on a Thursday night as we await dessert from Japan as we go Oriental for the second time this week. It's Formula V first up. It's a 4-race program tonight. 3 for Formula V, 1 for the Porsches. Race 1 underway in Montreal, Canada. Beautiful start, Chris Noble. He has bolted. It's a trouble spot. The early stages here, turn 2. It's tight. Thankfully, not too much in the form of jockeying for positions. They go line astern through there for the first time. Tony Baker, a magnificent start. Up into 7th place, holding off for Sean McKenzie, who's jumped up 2 spots. Nick Woods followed through and got the better of... Oh, hang on, Sam Chapman's lost some ground here. So Woods held on to 2nd, fending off Chapman. Thoburn's gone to 3rd. Henderson to 4th, up 2 spots. And Chapman's lost 2 spots down into 5th. Cito Riddell in 6th. We're riding on board with Tony Baker, looking at Cito at the moment. And Baker holds down 7th. Sean McKenzie up 2 spots. Grant Gill, Adam Lavis make up the top 10. Now the jockeying for positions as they stretch their legs down the back straight for the first time. 17 starters, 17 still running. Good gap, actually, from Pete Matson back to Bevan Moyes, if you don't mind. So good to see Bevan back in the server and Liam Banks as well. They're up 3 spots respectively, but they've They've lost the toe of the train already. They're 1.9 seconds behind Pete Madsen. And it's a 10-car train at the moment from second all the way back to Pete, down to the hairpin, the famous hairpin for the first time. And now they'll start the run down the Casino Straight. Run out of here so critical to set up the rest of the lap. But already, Nick Wood is struggling to latch onto Noble. Noble's got good breathing space here early in the piece. Sean McKenzie off the road. So too Robert McGrath. So too Brendan Nealon. Trouble further back in the field. We're right on board with Hendo up on the outside of Chapo. Thoburn and Wood are swapped around. Hendo gets his nose in front of Chapman. Down to the final chicane. The wall of champions on the right-hand side. You don't want to hit that in the early stages, let me tell you. So far, so good. We're under... Oh, no, round. There goes Pete Madsen. Apart from that, wasn't a bad opening lap, Daniel Carrier. Good evening to you.
No, it wasn't. Very nice and civilised. There were a couple of moments. Oh, who's that?
How much curb did Thoburn want to take going through turn one?
He's pushing the limits of the grip of that car for sure. But yes, no, it was a very civilised lap one. There was a couple of moments where people locked up, maybe just misjudging how hot the tyres got towards the end of that lap. Grant Gill actually shot well forward in the hairpin down at the last sector of the track, but thankfully didn't hit anybody, so rejoined well and on the way. But yeah, unfortunately Pete Madsen came into the Wall of Champions and spun round, so he's dropped down to P12 now, as Chris Noble's still well and truly in the lead. Yes, that's correct, yes.
He's gone the right way. You don't want to be clouding the wall, because that's a one-way ticket to pit lane. At least he spun. He kept it off the concrete and was able to resume. Now, we're right on board with Nick Wood. Now, this is interesting, actually, because this is one of those circuits where it can be difficult to lead from the front, even though Noble's got breathing space at the moment. If Thoburn and Wood work together, remembering that Thoburn and Noble are teammates, of course, there's a 5-second penalty coming the way of Adam Lavis, and he won't be thrilled about that for contact on Sean McKenzie at this point of the circuit last time around. If Thoburn leads from the front here and drags this train along, they may just be able to latch back onto Noble, which will keep things interesting for the next short while. It's only 10 minutes this opening race. It's only 5 laps. The other 2 races will be 8 laps in length, provided we don't get a safety car like we did last week. 3 wide for the course around here once the Vs start dueling. Down to the end of the second lap. And that was actually relatively tame going through there. Oh, and Thoburn's left the door open. Chapman and Wood pounce. So Thoburn got gobbled up on the Casino Straight. Wood and Chapman have gone through, and Wood's found his way to second. I sense a last lap Zach coming on here. I reckon we're in for an absolute beauty in these final 3 laps. Hello to hello Mark Joe. Nice to have you on board, mate. Great to have you back tuning in on the platforms of the GSRC. Hopefully everything at Weekend Warrior Central is going well for you. Another one of the many sim racing leagues in Australia. If you like you're in NASCAR racing and you've got Saturday nights clear, Mark Joe, of course, puts on a great sim racing series. Of course, not to take people away from our Mountain Men series on the Saturday night, but very rare do we have NASCARs going around Mount Panorama. That's more to the point. Remember, there are so many people that specialise in one specific car or category on these platforms. There are a lot of versatile drivers out there, like Matt Dench, who can hop, skip and jump between cars, and Brenton Hobson as well. But there are NASCAR purists, there are supercar purists, there are open wheel purists. So if you like NASCAR, Mark Joe, of course, would very much appreciate you getting in touch with him. Down towards the hairpin one more time. Lane Thoburn in 4th place at the moment, trying to latch back onto Chapman. Chapman sticking there with Wood. But all that's allowed Chris Noble to sail off into the sunset. 1.6 the margin. 3rd lap of 5. Montreal, Canada. Oh, it's great to have Formula V back here, I'm not going to lie. I'm really excited about the prospect of what's to come. But they, in the second race, invert of the top 10 will hopefully allow the pack to stay together. You've got to find a way to bring Noble back to the pack. Otherwise, yeah, it's cactus. The fight is for the minors. The fight's for second and beyond. Now, apologies. I don't know whether it's my end or Daniel's, but I'm getting some really grainy pictures coming through on the Discord at the moment. So I'm not actually able to read those comments that are popping up on the right-hand side of your screen right now. I'll have a look at that during the mid-evening interval between Formula V and the Porsches. Noble, Chapman, Wood, Thoburn, and Cito, the top 5. Tony Baker, 6th, and then a long gap back to Henderson, Moyes, Gilles, and Lavis. So it's a pack of 5, a race in 5. 2nd through 6th at the moment. Yeah, no, I'm very well aware, guys. Thank you for letting us know that the stream is clear. Good on you, Graham. It's just something on the Discord end of proceedings, so there's not much I can do about that at the moment. Down the back straight we go. Discord keeps telling me to update my username. That might be punishment from them. I don't know. Anyway, Nick Wood all over the back of Sam Chapman here, who has the fastest lap of the race. Chapman 2:04.321, the fastest lap of this race so far. He set it on lap 2. They're trying to go with Chris Noble, who's 1.8 seconds to the good, so he's okay. But right now, Wood's under pressure from Thoburn, Riddle, and also Tony Baker there as well. Surely the shots will be fired here soon enough. Surely the gloves have got to come off eventually, because this time, next lap, there is only going to be 1 sector left in the race. White flag flies this time by the line. Down the Casino straight we go. 2:04.53. The lap time last time around for Noble. You don't have to be the fastest when you're at the front of the field. Chapman's been gobbled up by Wood. Thoburn's in there as well. Here we go. One more time around on the Ile Notre Dame. 1 to go in Canada. Main straight, let's rock and roll. Noble, Wood, Chapman, Thoburn, Riddell. Forget about Noble, he's gone 1.7 seconds to the good here. The race is for the Thoburn and Chapman come together. They just barely hung on to it, but that's given Wood breathing space. And here comes Glenn Cito Riddle up the inside. Riddle wants 4th, gets it on the inside of Thoburn. Nicely done. Noble, Wood, Chapman, Riddle, and Thoburn. Gap them back to Tony Baker. Down to the end of the first sector, through turn 6 into 7. The run down the back straight towards 8 and 9. It's Noble. Daylight 2nd. Then Wood, Chapman. Chapman fancies his chances, but he's too far back to have a crack at Nick Wood just yet. He's got to be more mindful of the presence of Cito and Thoburn and try and fend them off here. Secure 3rd. Noble staring down 10th place on the grid for the next race. The invert system in play here. Half the field's about to be flipped on its lid. Down we go to the hairpin for the last time. Riddle there. Will he have a dive down the inside? No, he won't. He'll try and get the drag, the draft, the slipstream down the Casino straight. Schulte, I'm going to come back to that comment in just a moment. Fancy feeding me straight lines on a Thursday night. Noble, Wood, Chapman, Riddle, Thoburn, Baker, Henderson, Moyes, Gilles, and Lavis. Down we go. Noble's got the job done. Can Wood hold on to 2nd? It's relatively tame by Formula V standards here at the moment. No one's making a move. No one's making a lunge. To the final corner we go. Nick Wood's just got to get out of there cleanly, and he'll have 2nd. Chris Noble scores yet another race win in Spreyton side of Formula V. Wood, Chapman, Riddle, no change there, nor any change in the lower placings with Riddle.
Oh, at the back.
Thoburn, Baker, the top 5, 6 across the line. There's been trouble further back at the final corner with the Wall of Champions. That was Bevan Moyes, I think. Grant Gilles stumbled home in 7th. Moyes is limping home, but he's going to get done by Adam Lavis and Kevin Henderson, and he comes across the line in 10th ahead of Pete Matson. Unfortunately for Adam Lavis, Bevan Moyes will still get 10th because Lavis has a 5-second invoice coming his way. He's going to drop down to 11th behind Pete Matson, so Moyes will actually move up to 9th place. Matson to 10th. And then Phil Butler, Phil King, Brendan Dealon, Sean McKenzie, and Liam Banks. Robert McGrath, a long way back in all of that, in 17th position. He'll come home as the last of the finishers. And yet again, great entertainment, great drama, great excitement. And Spreyton side of Formula V. I want to come back immediately before I forget about it, Daniel Criasar, and come in straight off the long run on a Thursday night. And I just want to say to Aidan Schultz, our esteemed colleague, who, of course, did a nice job in here with you last night. Actually, before I even get to Schultzy, Australia have South Africa on the ropes at 2 for 8 in the 6th over. Australia have South Africa on the ropes at 2 for 8 in the 6th over of the World Cup semi-final. Great start for the Aussies. Let's go back to Aidan Schultz, though, right? He was talking about the delays southbound and the crash that was backing the traffic up. I want to remind him that if we were observing that progressive civilized concept known as daylight saving, he probably would have still made the server tonight because he would have been on the road an hour earlier. Anyway, that's okay. We'll continue living in the slow and steady early days of the 20th century. That 1 hour may as well be a 112-year delay. And that's the result. All right, race 2, here we go. Bevan Moyes now inherits pole position. Kevin Henderson, Adam Lavis, remembering full well, ladies and gentlemen, that little a loophole in the system. With regards to iRacing here, even though Adam Lavis will be relegated in the post-race results, we can't apply penalties mid-service, so he remains there on the grid in 8th position. Away we go. Bevan Moyes has not started. Bevan Moyes is in pit lane. Whoa, look at that. Gilles Lavis caught up. Baker and Henderson get through cleanly. They're trying to get back on the racetrack and coming together in the process. Oh no, drama for Adam Lavis and Grant Gilles at turn 1. Hendo's made a great start. Kevin Henderson leads the way. Tony Baker second, Sam Chapman, then Lane Thurber, Glenn Cito. Then Chris Noble, Nick Wood, Phil King, Phil Butler, and Sean McKenzie. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Dear, oh dear. All right, now, let's be perfectly honest here. Yes, you did, Schultzy, and I'm glad I didn't miss the opportunity to get an early swipe in so early on a Thursday night. Long night ahead for anyone with their bingo cards at the ready. Tony Baker down on the inside of Kevin Henderson. Tony Baker's going to the lead for pole shooting. Keeps it on the black stuff. They're 2 by 2 further back. Hendo on the inside with Nick Wood for company. Here comes Chapo. Down the outside. He'll be on the outside for the hairpin. Baker will look to fend off on the inside. No, he tucks back in to cover off the attack of Lane Thurburn. Cedar Riddell under pressure from Chris Noble, who goes down the inside. Riddell got hung out in the drive. Tank slider for Nick Wood. Barely hung onto it. He's fending off Phil King at the moment. Hendo's got up into 6th. Action aplenty on the opening lap of race 2 of Spreyton side of Formula V. Lap 1. How good's this? Hey. Chapman, Baker, Thurber, Noble, Riddell. No 2 by 2 action here on the Casino Straight. They're all playing tame by Formula V standards. Whoa, Cito was very close to the back of Chris Noble there. Across the line we go. So, unfortunately, I just want to cap off what all of that hoo-ha meant at the start for Pete Matson. So, Pete will be classified as 10th in the finishing results of that race once Adam Lavis's 5-second penalty is applied, unless he appeals it and gets overturned, right? Let's assume that it's going to stay as is. Pete, therefore, if iRacing gave us the ability to apply penalties within the server as we went, Pete would have inherited pole position by virtue of the fact that he's going to be classified as 10th. So there's always winners and losers in those sorts of situations, but it's been somewhat balanced out, unfortunately, for Adam Lavis and also for Grant Gilles, with Lavis involved in that early incident. He's dropped down to 9th, down 6 spots on where he started, and Gilles dropped down 9 spots. Really unsure as to what happened with Bevan Moyes there, why he opted to start from pit lane. He's now running in 15th place, down 14 on where he started and well off the leaders this point. And there's a time penalty coming up there on the screen as well, and that'll be for the initial contact at turn 1 on lap 1. but I missed who it was and what it was for.
That would be Lavis with Grant.
Adam Lavis.
Yep.
And how many seconds?
10-second penalty there.
Copy that. So he's copped a 5-second penalty tonight and now a 10-second penalty. Adam Lavis is having a shocker. Down the outside. To the hairpin we go. Mackenzie in 9th place. He's got Phil King, Pete Matson, Brendan Nealon and Grant Gilles all there for company at the moment. Adam Lavis heading further up the road, trying to fend off Sean Mackenzie. He's doing an okay job of that at the moment. Let's go 3. Let's go forward if you don't mind. Jeez, was that Hendo nearly on the dirt? Trying to find a clear bit of real estate to find a way through and he couldn't do it. There's your first bit of
but he's cooked it into the corner.
No! Gonzalo's in the wall. The wall of champions butts hard. Especially in an open wheeler. It's a one-way ticket to turning your car into a canoe.
Oh, he's lucky to have got away with that. Doesn't look like there's any damage on the suspension at the front there, so very lucky to have gotten away with that.
Oh boy, how good's this? Thursday night motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Chris Noble's bolted. He's more trouble!
How did they avoid that? Oh, well.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
They did
there
not.
are cars everywhere on that racetrack right now. Lane Thoburn's gone around, and Thoburn's night is going to be done. I think you'll find. Have a look at this. Uh-oh. Watch it. Stay with it. Bang. And I reckon he'll get another hit on the other side as well. Oh, jeez.
Oh, that tyre's flat. You can see that front left. That is down. Yep, look at that. That is down and out for the count. He's got no steering and it's separated there from the main part. So, yeah, he'll have no steering on that front. That's going to be hell to try and get back.
So Riddle and Thoburn are limping back home to pit lane. They're down in 14th and 15th at the moment. Robert McGrath's a lap down, having spent 2 minutes and 42 seconds in pit lane. Riddle and Thoburn both off track again, and I reckon they're going to be on the tow rope any tick of the clock. There's Cito conceding defeat. Devin Moyes has been into pit lane twice already, it would seem. And that second time around became terminal for him. So we've had a couple of retirements already. Robert McGrath, the last of the runners. We're down to 15. Thoburn 14th at the moment, limping it back to pit lane. Liam Banks is 13th. Phil Butler 12th. Brendan Nealon 11th. Phil King gets by him. Grant Gilles leads that pack of 5 at the moment, or 3 it is at the moment, and he's 9th. 2:04.177 for Noble, the fastest lap of the race. Chapman right there with him, hassling him every step of the way. Nick Wood's got Tony Baker for company. Hendo's got Lavis for company. Lavis has a 10-second invoice coming his way. Sean Mackenzie and Pete Matson are arguing over the same piece of real estate as well. So 4 two-way fights in Formula V at the moment. Then, of course, back to Gil, Nealon, King. Banksy's off the road. He's got back on, but Banksy's had an off-track excursion, done a little bit of grass clipping at turn 1. And more penalties being handed out, Daniel.
Yeah, that's Lane Thurban, 15 seconds for not holding his brakes with Glenn Riddell. So that's a harsh one there.
It is savage, but it's understandable. It's understandable. Right, this is what happened to Phil King.
Oh! It's almost like he stopped in the middle of the corner.
That's how it appeared to me.
Now he's trying to turn around. Oh, he's not having a great time here.
Now, there's plenty of other great sport on tonight. The NBL and the soccer, I'll update you on that shortly. But just remember that a spot in the World Cup final against India is up for grabs. It's on Channel 9 or 9 Gem, depending upon where you're tuning in. Northern Territory, Western Australia, hang in there. You'll get over to the main channel eventually. Blame the time difference. Queensland's only just done the channel slot. South Africa are 2 for 8 in the 8th over. Very slow, steady going for the South Africans at the moment. 15-second penalty there for Glenn Cito for the lack of caution through yellow flags. So Cito's picked up a penalty. Thoburn's picked up a penalty. Thoburn came into pit lane, got a fast repair. Phil Butler's been into pit lane for a repair as well. So we're down to 12 contenders here, with those 5 really hamstrung for the rest of the night. We know that Robert McGrath's out there still. Cito's still on pit road. Kevin Moyes is parked up and out of the service. So whatever happens from here, we're down to 16 for the next race. That promises to be entertaining, with Cito coming through from the rear of the grid, and Thoburn going through with him as well. But he's looking to make light work of Phil Butler at the moment. He's Sean McKenzie in 8th place, all over the back of Pete Matson.
I'm just going to point out something. I noticed they're cutting to the camera. There doesn't seem to be someone manning the flag post at the start-finish line.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. It's standard half-cocked eye racing. They only put Barney on at certain racetracks. He has a lot of holidays, that bloke.
He does.
Very slack. Anything with the ball and not a wheel ain't a sport. It's a childhood playground game. That's not very nice, Graham.
See, now here's the thing.
Nice here we go, Sean McKenzie. I'm coming back to you with that thought, Daniel. We'll finish the point in a moment. McKenzie down the inside to P7.
So that's an excellent move to get that job done now. He's going to try and hold that defensive line all the way to the hairpin. But I'm actually on the same page as Graham. Oh, actually, give me a minute. I wonder if Pete Matson's going to try and get him on the outside here. We'll jump to the drone cam, get a bit of view. Matson's got a decent run, but he'll obviously take the longer way round. We'll see if Sean McKenzie, the V's don't tend to do well with tight corners. Oh, and Grant Gilles even gets up on the inside now. So Matto actually loses out. And Sean McKenzie did a really good job around the inside. He got more speed than I thought he would. And now he'll lead that little pack down towards the final turn. Yeah, I'm on the same page as Graham here. It's hard for me to get excited about anything that isn't motorsport. It's not that I don't like other sports, but it's not the same.
No, you're absolutely right. Excuse me, I've just had some fluid go down the wrong tube, so I'm going to be on struggle street for the next couple of minutes. Grant Gilles sits there in 7th place at the moment. Sean McKenzie back to 8th. Pete Matson back to 9th. So there's been a little bit of hopping and skipping and jumping. A little bit of musical chairs and switcherooing going on there in the last couple of laps. We're on lap 6 now. And Sam Chapman will bring us to an 8-lap race here, provided that we get back in the nick of time. 4 minutes left on the clock. We should be able to do that. 2:04.177, the fastest lap of the race. So we'll do a fair chunk of overtime to get the 8th lap in, but we will get the 8th lap in, I promise you. So Chapman, Noble, Baker. I'm going to come back to your bloke's point about cricket and other ball and racket sports in just a moment, because I may or may not have. I may or may...
Graham, I agree with you so hard. Yes, it is.
Rocket League is next level. It's the only downloadable game I've purchased in the history of owning a PS4 or a PS5. It's the first game I transferred onto the PS5 off the PS4. I must admit, absolutely love Rocket League. Now, let's get back to this race, because this is hotting up just nicely as well. The Adam Lavis is there in 6th place at the moment, all over the back of Hendo, Wood and Baker. So it's a 4-way fight for 3rd, but we know that Lavis isn't actually in the mix here because he's got an invoice coming his way. Chris Noble's all over the back of Sam Chapman. Sam Chapman will be looking to lead us back to the white flag. Not this time by, but next time by. The reality of the situation is that they've got 5 seconds on this batch in behind, and now it's 2x2 racing in tandem. Find a dance partner and stick with them. Down to the Wall of Champions.
Oh, I think there was a bit of a nudge.
Oh, there was definitely a nudge there.
Oh, no.
How in God's name did Kevin Henderson keep that off the wall? Let's go 3 wide as he tries to get back up to speed. Lavis is the sitting duck in all of that. Boxed in with nowhere to go. 2 laps to go in Canada.
Just going
and
back to
Nick Wood's the winner in all of that. Going back to the point about ball sports just quickly, I must admit, I have only recently purchased tickets to day 1 of the Australian Open down at Melbourne Park in January. So, no, big fan of all things sport. There are some sports you won't get me excited about, but cricket and tennis, don't mind either. In the meantime, Pete Matson's just jumped onto the tow rope, so he's in pit lane. The battle of the tail of the walking wounded continues here as we make our way around on the penultimate lap. Chapman leads Noble. We'll get back to those guys in just a moment. We are finding it very hard to take our eyes off this, and rightly so. Nick Wood, Tony Baker, Kevin Henderson, and Adam Lavis. Four-way fight for the last spot on the podium. It's going to be on in earnest for the last lap of this race very shortly. Lavis, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how he approaches this. Does he want to move his way up the field to limit the damage of the 10-second invoice coming his way, or is he going to try and sit there and stay out of trouble and hope that they can put enough of a gap between themselves, Grant, Gilles, Sean McKenzie, etc., that it's no harm, no foul. Have a look at this down the outside as they make their way down towards the end of the casino straight. And also, if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen, the last turn, the chicane that brings them back onto the main straight to start the final lap. So 1 to go. White flag in the air. It's been relatively tame in the latter stages of this race. Surely we're bracing for fireworks. The final 4.3 kilometres around the circuit, Gilles Villeneuve. Across the line we go. Lavis is now 5th. He's got by Kevin Henderson. Now he wants a piece of Tony Baker. He wants to have a crack to turn 1. He can't get it done. Nick Wood leads this train at the moment. Sam Chapman still fending off Chris Noble further back. There's a 5-second penalty coming the way of Sean McKenzie for his involvement in the incident that put Pete Matson in pit lane and out of the race here. As they make their way around, we're on the last lap. We're riding with Chapman and Noble to the end of the first sector. Noble's right there. When does he pull out? When does he have a crack? Let's wait and see. Matson, Riddell, McGrath are all going to be coming from the back of the grid. We've got 13 cars still out there. We've got 2 active battles that we're really keeping an eye on here. Noble's just sitting tight and patient, isn't he? Sitting pretty there in second, letting Chapman do all the work. And Chapman's working hard. There's no doubt about that. 2:04.177. Noble and Chapman down to the hairpin for the last time. Noble happy to sit there and follow Chapman through. Oh, Chapman left the door open. He's gone really, really wide out of the hairpin. Noble's going to pull out and have a crack in the draft. Down the back straight we go for the last time now. They're weaving from left to right. The drag race is on. Noble couldn't get a good enough run to put Chapman at bay. Now he'll have a crack down the inside. Chapman left the door open marginally. Noble says thanks for the invitation. Down we go to the final corner. They're hugging the inside of the circuit. One of them's going to have to yield. It'll be Chapman because Noble's got the inside line and the advantage. Back to the main straight we go. Chapman flag in the air. Noble's tripped up through the final corner. Chapman pulling out of the draft and going for it. Noble hanging the boss run. Chapman's going back. Chapman's going to win it. Oh boy! Chapo got the job done by 1/100th of a second. Wood got the better of Baker, Lavis and Henderson. And it's important to note that Lavis is only going to lose 1 spot in all of that. And it will be to Kevin Henderson. Because that pack of 4 cars were able to put 10, 11 and a half seconds between themselves and Sean McKenzie. McKenzie, of course, himself has an invoice coming his way. So Lavis gets lucky. He buys a stroke of luck tonight for the first time. Well, actually, he's had 2 strokes of luck, really. He didn't lose his grid position for race 2, and he was able to actually minimise the damage done by the penalty conceded in race 2 as well. Oh, boy. Chapman, another photo finish. He did that a couple of weeks ago, winning by 100th of a second or something ridiculously stupid and small. He's the master of the tight finish at the moment in Spreyton side of Formula V as Sam Chapman.
Yeah, it was a good run to the line. I thought Chris might have actually had it, but when he came out towards the Wall of Champions, he just had a slight, ever so slight, twitch of the front of the car. And I just thought, oh, there's a decent enough length to the finish line here. Sam might get him. And sure enough, goes right up alongside and pips him by 0.01. So it was all to play for Sam there, and he made it work. Now, on the point we were talking before of Barney and not being at his duties.
Yes, let's have a look.
So,
where is he?
So
is he there?
Lavis usually gives him a camera.
Yep.
So what happens if I cut to him?
No.
He's on the other side.
Oh,
I see.
Jesus Christ.
I get it. Right. He's got other... Yeah, right up.
Jesus Christ.
Someone might have to talk to him about that problem.
Hey, I'm going to break code for a minute here. Instead of doing a sponsor plug or instead of going around the grounds or something similar on a Thursday night, I want to give a shout out at this point in time because mid-Tuesday afternoon there was some news that broke. And a good friend of mine and a good friend of Circuit XL racing pylons in Australia across many various states, New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, South Australia, a girl by the name of Lisa Titani. She's a good friend of mine and she made headlines this week. She's not usually one to make the news, but this is for very good reason. She doesn't like talking about work, but she's had no choice this week because she's gone thrust into the headlines because Speed Cafe ran an article confirming that she's been appointed as the category manager for TCR Australia from next year. So I just wanted to, I've already spoken to her privately and obviously put up a post on Facebook, but publicly I wanted to acknowledge and say congrats to her on that. She'd been looking after S5000 this year. She's been within the ARG framework for the last couple of years. So Lise, from all of us, well done. Congratulations. We know how good an operator you are, and we know that you'll smash this out of the park. And as someone that's enjoyed watching TCR over the last couple of seasons, I can't wait to see what you bring to the table and what the category brings to the table when it gets underway in 2024 at Sandown in early February. So, very proud of that friend of mine. We've had a lot of good times this year going to places like Movie World and the FIFA Women's World Cup and a few other things. But that is our connection. Motorsport through working at the XL Nationals a couple of years ago together, through working at the Sydney 300. So we're very familiar with motor racing circles, and I'm familiar with what she brings to the table. And she does it really bloody well. Sam Chapman and Chris Noble, the front row of the grid here for race 3 of round 8 of Spreyton side of Formula V. Nick Wood and Tony Baker, the second row. Adam Lavis and Kevin Henderson, the third. Sean McKenzie, Grant Gill, the fourth. Brendan Nealon and Phil King from row 5. Track conditions updated to 45% humidity, 41 degrees on the track, 28 ambient, and 4 o'clock in the afternoon server time. Row 6 is where we're up to. Lane Thurburn and Phil Butler. Row 7, Liam Banks and Pete Matson. Row 8 is, of course, where you'll find Robert McGrath and Glenn Cedo. Get ready! Race 3, Spreyton side is Formula V. Race 24 of the campaign is underway. We've already had 2 different race winners tonight. Can we make it 3 here and now? Let's wait and see. To turn 1 we go. So far, so good. To be honest with you, Graham, no one's raised any issues with me. No one's filed a complaint. No one's said anything to this point. I'm sure there'll be questions asked at some point. I'm sure they must wonder. But no one's brought it up with me personally. So at the moment, so far, so good. Oh, trouble.
Brendan Nealon.
Oh, 3,
there's a few
4
cars there.
Yep. Set off a chain reaction, and there's a few pinatas on the receiving end of a clout of the wall. There you go. So caught up in that, Brendan Nealon, Phil Butler, Phil King, and Pete Matson. The beneficiaries in that, Robert McGrath and Glenn Cedo. Cedo's gone. Cedo's on the tie rope. And so too Pete Matson. Now, I'm not sure what went on with Cedo because it's a separate incident. Chapman and Noble arguing over the same piece of real estate early, bringing Nick Wood and Adam Lavis along for the ride. Have a look at this. Chapman goes to the front. Noble's going to have the inside running when they get down to the hairpin. Wood, Lavis, Baker, Henderson all in there as well. Baker's going to be on his own here because he won't have his teammate in Glenn Cedo to help him along the way. Already on the tow rope, out of business here. Through turn 9, the hairpin they go. Turn 10, I should say. Down the back straight. The race to the checkered flag begins now. We've got 7 more laps where this one came from. And it seems as though the gloves are off this time round. And whilst the first 2 races have been relatively tame by Formula V standards, it looks like now we're going to get our money's worth. Look at Adam Lavis wedged in between Chris Noble and Sam Chapman. 3 wide down the casino straight. Chapman going deep to try and hold the lead. No, Noble will hold the inside running. Back to the main straight we go. Uh-oh. Sean McKenzie off the road. Down to P5 and dropping a couple of more spots there now. He's somehow barely hung on to it to keep a few others at bay. Tony Baker gets by on the inside to turn
so
1
close.
And pushed him through. Pushed him out wide in the process. Round the outside, Hendo wanted a piece of it as well, couldn't get it. It's a race in 7 at the front. Here we go.
Kevin Henderson was in the grass coming out of turn 3 there. And he's really pushing to try and keep up with this front pack, which is good to see. And again, an unfortunate one there for Glenn Riddell. I wonder if we can go back and see what it is that happened to him. Here we go. So he's got bent steering. You can see it there. Oh, yeah, he's just, yep.
Bang. There it is. Now that car's crunched up, written off, gone for the night, I'd say. Riddell's parked up and out of the race. That's a real disappointing end to it for Glenn Cito. 10.5 overs gone at the Eden Gardens cricket ground in Calcutta, and South Africa on the ropes at 3 for 22, ladies and gentlemen. The Aussies have got the upper hand in the early stages of the World Cup semi-final. Brilliant start to what is a do-or-die situation. And it was interesting listening to both the captains at the toss. They said, well, I would have batted first if I won the toss, and I would have done the same thing. So neither one of them wanted to bowl first, but the Aussies are making the most of their less preferred situation. Down the back straight as we turn our attention back to Spreyton side of Formula V. This is awesome. Noble, Chapman, Lavis, Wood, Baker, McKenzie, Henderson, Gill, Thoburn, and McGrath the top 10. Banks is down in 11th place at the moment. Chapman has lost out to Noble here. Noble's taken off. 1.5 to the good. Have a look at him go. He did exactly the same thing in race 1. Looks like he's going to do the same thing again in race 2. Race 3, I should say. Noble 204.74, the fastest lap of the race. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 arguing over the same piece of real estate for position number 2. And McKenzie latching on as well. Gill, Thoburn, McGrath and Banks all behind them at the moment. Again, a gap starting to open up. Brendan Nealon's 14 seconds down the road from Liam Banks in 12th place. Has been passed by Philip King. This might explain why. Oh, no. The double whammy.
Yeah. They're stuck.
Oh, no.
Oh, and the steering's gone on that car, and so's the tyre, so yep.
Look at this. So, the attrition rate for a field of only 16 or 17 is already evident. We lost Bevan Moyes early in the piece. Glenn Cito, he didn't start this race. Glenn Cito's parked up. Pete Matson may as well be now that he's 2 laps down. Remembering that you've got to complete 75% race distance. 8 laps is full race distance if we don't get a safety car intervention, which I don't think we will this late into the piece. So therefore, Pistol needs to complete 6 laps. So if he goes down 2 laps here, he can't afford to go down 3. And if he goes down 3, it's curtains. The night is done. So that's unfortunate for Pete. In the meantime, back on board we go with Adam Lavis. Under serious pressure from Nick Wood. Have a look at Wood. I wouldn't advise SMSing in Formula V racing. It doesn't usually end well. Back to the main straight we go again. Noble, Chapman, Lavis, Wood, Baker and Henderson, the top 6. Mackenzie's there in 7th. Gill is 8th. Thoburn 9th. Liam Banks is 10th. That's now a race in 5 for 2nd. They've managed to drop Sean McKenzie off this train. 5 laps to go. No survival of the fittest. Can Chapman hold on to second? I don't think they're going to catch Noble from here. Noble's doing a nice enough job of it. As they make their way around. Into pit lane come Brendan Nealon, Phil Butler, and also Pete Matson. So Nealon and Butler both in. Matson's been there for a while now. Matson's about to be out of business. But Nealon and Butler, you'd be hoping that they can just latch on, get the fast repair and get back out there. That's exactly what Butler's done. It'll be interesting to see if Nealon can do the same. Yes, he has. Both men back out into the racetrack. So, and then there were 14, as they say. Nick Wood down on the inside of Tony Baker got the job done. Robert McGrath's lost out to Liam Banks. Banksy's up into the top 10. Now they swap back around. There was a redress with Philip Butler, so he'll avoid wearing the wrath of the stewards there for that. Now, they've been pretty tame this time. Oh, geez. This time around, there's been nothing too much in the way of overtaking opportunities being taken or being presented. Down the back straight we go. Hendo under pressure here. Putting the pressure on, rather, on Tony Baker. Down the inside. Baker loses out. Hendo goes to 5th. But they're starting to lose the train here. They're starting to lose the train. They need to latch back on to Nick Wood before too long. Or otherwise, they're going to be in a separate battle for 5th to everybody else. Noble actually has fallen back into the clutches of the pack as well. So the race-leading car is slowly but surely losing ground here. That so often happens in Formula V. And this is the benefit of having 3 men work together. Chapman, Ravis and Wood have worked together to reel Noble in. And now we've got a race in 4 at the front of the field. 2:04.05.3 for Lavis that time around, the fastest lap of the race. And breaking news from Eden Gardens in Calcutta, 4 for 24. No, you're not hearing things. 4 for 24. South Africa against Australia. Hazelwood now in the fight, in the mix as far as wicket takers are concerned.
4 for 24 is actually ridiculous.
That's bad for a World Cup semi-final.
Ridiculous.
The Aussies are staring down a potential shot at redemption against India on Sunday night if they can continue on at this rate. Wow, what a start. So I don't know what's more exciting at the moment, the cricket and how that is playing out against the grain of so many of the other matches, that it's just been a run fest so far, that tournament, or this. Chris Noble, Sam Chapman and Adam Lavis. 1 second the margin, first to second. Chapman fending off Lavis and Wood. They've gapped Baker and Hendo as we suspected they might. Grant Gilles holding down 7th at the moment with Thoburn and McKenzie behind him. Banks and McGrath still arguing over the same piece of real estate as they come back down the casino straight one more time around.
Graham just saying that he's got no idea what it means. So the first number is
how many wickets have fallen.
Yeah, I'm going to explain this in the worst possible way. The first number is how many wickets have fallen, or in how many batters have been got out, caught out, run out, whatever.
Have been dismissed. Yeah.
Dismissed, yeah, that's the best way to put it. And the second number is how many runs that the batting team have at that point in time of the game. So for you to have an average of 6 runs per batsman that's made it onto the field is quite poor.
Especially when that's the top end of the batting lineups, which is supposed to be your
World Cup cricket. Yeah.
And they're meant to be your key players as far as the batting innings is concerned. And unfortunately, 4 for 28 now after 12 overs. The Aussies have got the upper hand at 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time, which is 3 o'clock there in India. And with the weather conditions that they were anticipating today, the lights are on. The clouds are hanging low, and they're thick and dark. So keep an eye out for potential rain delay at some point throughout the course of the evening. Whatever the case, I'm staying up until it's done. I will say that much tonight. So 2 laps to go next time by the line, and still Noble holding on, and he's been able to just give himself a little bit of breathing space here, Dan. out to 1.21 seconds.
Yeah, Chris Noble's doing a really good job out front here. The gap did start to diminish, and we were kind of worried that maybe the guys behind were starting to work together to try and catch Chris Noble, but whatever it is that's happened in the lap since then, he's managed to bring it back up past that 1 second mark. Now, that doesn't mean he's out of the woods just yet, but the draft is less effective at that distance. So unless Sam Chapman manages to drive very, very cleanly for the rest of this race, I would hazard a guess and say that Chris Noble will most likely have this in the bag. But we've seen him mess up once before coming into the final sector of the track, so he might do that again. And just to stay on that cricket point for one more minute, I actually saw a compilation video last week. It was a compilation of Ricky Ponting and that incredibly laser arm of his of just catching the ball and then throwing it like a rocket at the wickets. It's just pinpoint accuracy. It was very impressive to watch.
Mate, for everything he brought to the table as a batsman, I'll tell you what, he was just as impressive, if not more so, in the field. Right, we continue on here. Noble, the leader. Lavis a second behind, having got past Chapman on the casino straight last time around. 2 laps to go. Clock fast running out here. Time's nearly up. Chris Noble, Adam Lavis, Sam Chapman, Nick Wood, then Kevin Henderson, Tony Baker, Lane Thoburn, Sean McKenzie, Grant Gill, Liam Banks, then Robert McGrath, Phil King's there in 12th place, Phil Butler 13th, Brendan Neal on 14th. That's it. Everybody else is parked up for the night. Matson and Riddell gone, out of business. We continue on. We're right on board with Nick Wood now, all over the back of Sam Chapman, chasing Adam Lavis. Lavis is slowly but surely catching Chris Noble. The margin's 0.7. It's the smallest it's been in a while. What can Lavis do here? I'll tell you what, wouldn't he be delighted, given the 5-second penalty in race 1 and the 10-second penalty in race 2, to keep this clean and bring it home as a race winner? That would be, testament to perseverance, if nothing else. Down they come. Second last time. Half a second now, the margin. 0.6 now. As they make their way out of the hairpin for the penultimate time. We're on the run down the casino straight. We've got our eyes on the top 3, top 4 here now. Noble holding on. Lavis there in second spot, but taking chunks and chunks of time out of Noble, thanks to now being in the slipstream tow. The draft, have a look at him, all over the back of Noble. To the chicane. There's the Wall of Champions on the right-hand side. You don't want to hit that. He sets us up for a grandstand finish, race 24 of the campaign. Race 3 of round 8. Third last week of the term, third last week of the year. Lavis punches out the fastest lap of the race thus far, 2:03.625. He's right there.
Oh, Nick Wood's gone.
Position to have a crack. Nick Wood's dropped off. Nick Wood's out of business. Nick Wood's come undone at turn 1. Wood is done. So now we continue on. And we watch as we ride on board with Sam Chapman. What can he pull out of the bag, remembering what he did last time round in race 2? Won it by 100th of a second. Down to the left hand at the end of the first sector. Turn 6, 7, the run down to 8 and 9. Noble leads. Lavis second, Chapman third. Wood there in 4th place, out of business, out of contention for the podium now. This is a race in 3. Henderson and Baker still arguing over 5th at the moment as well. Vital championship points on the line here, up the grabs. They smash the curve at turn 9. Now the run down to turn 10, the last of the big braking zones before we get to that back straight, the casino straight. And that is where a lot of what's left of this race will begin to play out. Noble, Lavis and Chapman. 0.7 the margin. What goes Noble? Lavis gets up on the inside. Noble loses 2 places in 1 corner. And Lavis leads with a sector to play. Noble's back down on the inside of Chapman. Here we go down the back straight for the final time. Noble gets his way back into second. Chapman's been out of the draw in third. Lavis is hugging the inside.
Oh!
His life depends on it. Chapman comes to the inside of the airborne. And Noble as well. 3 wide to the penultimate corner. Chapman sweeps across to take
That move. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go back.
Wow.
To watch that again, because I need to point something out, because Sam Chapman absolutely masterminded the both of them. So let me just find that pass at the end. Let's go back this far, and we'll explain it on the lead up here. So here's Chris Noble on the outside. Now, I need to show you from Sam Chapman's point of view. So Chris Noble is getting a massive run on the outside there, but Sam boxes him in the entire way and makes sure that he can't go anywhere, and then Lavis gets caught up in all of that. Sam gets just a nose ahead, cuts it into the final corner, makes it clean, and Chris Noble must be fuming. The amount of speed that he gained at the end on that run, and knowing he couldn't go anywhere, and it was a legal move. Sam Chapman played that to perfection, kept him in that cage, and then managed to pass Lavis right at the end there and take the win again. That is hats off to you, Mr. Chapman. That is an excellent run.
That is incredible. And well explained by you, Daniel Correas. Well, Adam Lavis gets a podium finish. And given the night he'd had to that point, I think it's ended on a high note. It's a consolation prize. He would have loved a race win. I would have loved a race win from the statistics standpoint of having 4 different winners in the night in 4 races. But, we're not complaining about the results here. We do love the whole sharing is caring caper on a Thursday night. But if you weren't impressed by that, go and check your pulse. That was superb. Sam Chapman, he won the second race by 0.01. He wins the third one by 0.21 of a second. So got the job done over Lavis. Noble was only 0.04 of a second away. Then Nick Wood, Tony Baker, Kevin Henderson, Lane Thoburn held off Sean McKenzie and Grant Gilles, with Banksy getting home in 10th place ahead of Robert McGrath. King, Butler, Nealon made up the field. And that is why Formula V is the best thing going on the sim racing servers around iRacing at the moment. That was just simply incredible. And if that's the sort of racing we're going to get on a Thursday night in the main course slot for the next 2 weeks, I'm excited already. We're very excited about the way this Formula V season ends. We've got 2 great rounds still to come. 6 races left to crown a champion. And it's there for the taking for anyone at this point in time. I must admit, I'm now just hanging on for dear life, waiting. Well, actually, there was no hanging on there. There was just cars scattered everywhere at turn 4 on the opening lap. For me, the only thing that iRacing could possibly do now to top having Formula V in the server is do the Hyundai XL. Do the Hyundai XL, and then we can have Vs into XLs, and I'd be losing my voice every single Thursday night.
The XL would be, I must admit, the XL would be very, very interesting addition to the iRacing service. I'm just trying to think, if not the XL, what would be an alternative car that would hit, let's say, a more global market? So you've still got the essence of XL racing, but what would be the car model that would fit the world more? So it'd have to be like...
Have a think about it.
Maybe like one of the small alphas?
Yeah.
You know, they've got the alpha category as well. That's more
we thought the Renault Clio would be a hit, and then it ended up being, a dud.
Nissan Pulsar.
The Nissan Pulsar, why not?
Oh, you know what, though? Just on that point, iRacing, please, I beg you. I know it's not going to happen, but if you could please get the rights to the BTCC, I'd be forever grateful.
Absolutely. And if you can get rights back to IndyCar, we'd be forever grateful as well.
Please.
Yes. Excuse me. Now, Grant Gilles, good evening to you. Welcome aboard. Great to have you out there on the racetrack in the thick of it. Unfortunately, you and Adam Lavis arguing over the same piece of real estate there at the start of race 2.
Yeah, well, old mate crew chief was saying 3 wide, and then I felt an almighty whack in the posterior and thought, that's not good.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
ended up at the back, which was a pity because I had pretty good speed, and each time I found myself just that second off the pack, and then someone would come up and play with me and break the dough to the guys in front. So that was a little annoying, but yeah, good racing out there. It was good fun. Sean McKenzie, I think, owes me a Spreyton cider or two.
I'll second that. But well done to you too, mate, because you finished that third race with the top 10. You obviously were pushing Mackenzie and Thoburn along there. The end, unfortunately, our eyes were peeled on what was happening at the front because it was just extraordinary. What were your thoughts on the race 3 battle, please?
Oh, look, it was pretty good. I was just tucked in behind the boys with Sean McKenzie in front of me, and he had a moment coming through turn 3. The first of the chicanes, and that broke our toe from the leaders. Lane Thorburn came whizzing up as I was responding to Sean, but to his credit, he dropped back and allowed me to pass. But he had pretty good speed, so we played around as a threesome for a little while, and then he got into the front, and I tried to play it a bit cagey and try and do the 3 wide into the final chicane a la race 1. But just couldn't get him, so that's the way we finished. Lane and then Sean and then myself. But yeah, good racing out there.
Indeed it was. Let's just have a look at the schedule and what we've still got coming your way as far as Formula V is concerned on a Thursday night, if we can, please. Okay. Before we talk to Sam Chapman about the fact that he's a race winner and twice so tonight, you might want to elaborate on what TBA is, please.
Well, there's actually 3 minutes left. Next week is going to be street race round. I've got the votes out. The votes close in 3 minutes. So get on Discord, Zach, if you haven't voted yet.
Otherwise, it's looking a lot like Detroit.
It's looking like Detroit, unless someone wants to chuck something in Long Beach. Yeah, between Detroit, Long Beach, and Chicago. So we'll see what comes out in the votes in a couple of minutes. It should be a good one regardless.
I didn't realise there was a vote going on Discord, and if I try and fiddle around, I won't find my way back to the broadcast service, so I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to interfere. However, concrete canyons, Formula Vs, canoes, bring it on. I would have gone Chicago personally, but hey, Detroit will do. Hey, Grant.
I was going to send you the link then, but if you're going to go to Detroit, I'm not going to send you the link.
In saying all of that, of those 3, which is your preferred option, and what do you think about street racing on a Thursday night next week?
I think that'll be awesome. My vote was for Detroit. Belle Isle was all along, so I'd be very happy if that came out. And then Phillip Island, I'm going to be overseas, literally overseas, on a big cruise liner on final round, so I won't be around for that one.
As in Tasmania?
No, New Zealand.
Oh, even better. Better. Half your luck. You're not taking your sim racing rig with you like some of our other club members have done?
No.
There might be one on the boat.
Yeah, probably might be. I doubt if they'll have an iRacing setup. But no, look, that'll be it for me for the season. Next week should be awesome wherever we are. And shouldn't be too many people breaking away from the pack, I shouldn't think. There'll be incidents aplenty, so that might disrupt the crocodile a bit, but yeah, we'll see.
Indeed. Now, with regards to what's coming up, we wish you well for the New Zealand holiday. We can't wait to have you here next Thursday night. What else is keeping you busy, please?
Bit of GT4 action on a Wednesday night, and finally starting to ring just a little bit of the speed that Jordan Malcolm seems to find in that bloody car week in, week out, McLaren. But I need a bigger squeegee or something, because I don't know how that boy does it. But that's pretty much my racing at the moment, and we might even look at a broadcast next Tuesday night. That'll be my last opportunity to do it. So just need a commentator to help out, and we'll see if we can't get the penultimate round. I think the bloke sitting alongside you in the commentary booth in the producer's chair might be looking after grand final week. That was mooted at some stage.
All right, copy that. No one's broached the idea of Tuesday night with me as yet, but I can have that conversation, I'm sure. Hey, Grant, thank you, mate. Shame we didn't see more of you on the broadcast tonight, but onwards and upwards to next week.
Yeah, and I was saying to Jamie Budd in race control, I think that's the first race he's RC'd for me that I haven't landed on my lid. So, it was the case in Willow Springs, and I think the last time I raced the Downforce Legends also ended up on my lid, lap 1, turn 1. So it wasn't for the lack of trying, 3 wide into the final chicane, race 1, but everyone else, I think, ended up on their lids. So it was good fun. I saw you had no one in here to talk to, so I thought I'd fill in a bit of blank airspace.
I do appreciate that, mate. You're always welcome here, Grant. You know that. Don't forget, we've got 60 minutes of Porsches coming up from Fuji in just a few moments, and we're very excited about that as well. Thanks, mate.
You're welcome. I might sit down and watch a bit of the cricket, so probably...
That's a very good idea, actually. In fact, on that note, what a segue, Grant. Let's go around the grounds for you.
No? I'll see you guys later. Cheerio.
See ya. There he is, Grant Gilles, on his way out so that I can go around the grounds for those of you that want to know. We are delayed by rain now, and we knew it was coming in the World Cup semi-final between Australia and South Africa. And it's 4 for 44 as rain has stopped play after 14 overs. So the South Africans hanging on by a thread, because remember, if the game gets washed out, there's no reserve day. South Africa will go through via net run rate and finishing higher than Australia on the points table, all that sort of stuff. Basketball at the moment, New Zealand and Tasmania underway. Perth and Cairns still to come tonight. But the Breakers and the Jack Jumpers, the Breakers up 69 to 59 at this point in time, and we are partway through the third quarter. And the World Cup qualifier between Australia and Bangladesh in the first half. We're into stoppage time, and it's 0-0 as we approach the break. Sam Chapman, well done. A win by 0.01 of a second, a win by 0.21 of a second. Impressive night at the office. You pushed Chris Noble all the way. You brought a bit of luck during the second race, of course, found your way to the front in the closing stages. Edged him out in the run to the line. The weaving, the drag race was on, trying to break the toe, the slipstream. Very tactful, clever Canadian Circuit 101 racing from you, mate. That was magnificent.
Yeah, mate. My heart's just slowly getting back down to a normal BPM after those races. That was unbelievable. Yeah, race. Actually, all 3 races were just brilliant fun. They were very close, but yeah, I mean, I'll have to take it back, Zach. It wasn't, at least for us, wasn't a crash fest, and it was some of the best racing we've had all season as far as fun's concerned. It was just all go.
Very good point, mate. Well done. Talk me through the tactical racecraft that you were trying to execute there, and you did it successfully, obviously. Daniel Correa was replaying the final sector of the final lap for you, or for us, after you took the checkered flag there. You were hung out on the outside. You didn't have much help there, but you were able to box Noble in and use that to your advantage. And with Lavis terribly worried about trying to keep Noble at bay, you were able to get one up on him as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think Chris took a leaf out of my book and went a bit deep into the hairpin to try and get that run up the straight. Which sort of, put him at the back, but and me sort of in the sandwich. But yeah, and he then sort of got through on that inside, and he was sort of like, okay, well what can we potentially do here? It's that boxing sort of thing, because there are walls either side, and that outside line, as long as you are far enough ahead, is the right sort of place to be if you can hold it. Because going through on that inside is quite tough to get that run through. So yeah, it was. I couldn't believe it when I started going past Adam, and went, okay, this could work out. But yeah, what a race! And then that second race was yeah, once again, it was an aspect of, okay, try and keep him on that inside line and get that run to the line at that point. You know, that extra speed through there, and it worked out. He had that slight wiggle, as you often do when you know, trying to take it much tighter than you normally would, and was able to just sneak it. So yeah, pretty night of the office, and good racing by the guys. I thought I lost it on that third race after I sort of conceded that position back to Adam because he called in blocking, and I didn't know whether or not it was, but I knew that I'd sort of made 2 moves, but it was sort of accidental more than anything else through that final chicane there, just to try and hold on to it. But yeah, just managed to catch Chris back with Adam's help, so that was good teamwork there too.
Thoughts on next week, mate? Because now the championship's hanging on a knife edge. I know it'll be, I assume it'll be between you and Chris Noble when we head to Phillip Island.
Yeah, it will, and it's going to be, it's going to be on a knife edge. It won't be more than, what, a couple of dozen points in at max, I reckon. So it's going to be close. It's going to be brilliant. Next week is, you know, once again, it's these circuits that are make or break. Below, in some ways, tough, it's bumpier, and so you'll have to be pretty careful of that. And the walls are obviously very close too. So, but I think it'll be good fun in these too. And then obviously PI is just the perfect destination for these cars. So I think it's going to be a big bit of fun. A couple of weeks ahead. A good fight with Chris. It's been a great tussle with him all season. I guess pity John's not able to make as many rounds, or it'll be right there. But yeah, no, it should be good fun.
And what next? Do you jump into the Porsche race control server just to calm things down tonight?
Yep, I'm in the Porsche race control server now, sort of having a look, making sure no one's doing anything too silly. But yep, I'll be doing that for the next while. How long is it? An hour? Okay. An
hour. Yep. Longer one tonight.
All right. That's quite all right, Zach. After 2 sprint races at Watkins Glen last week, I'm quite happy with a docile hour around Fuji, touchwood. So that's fine by me. So yeah, that should be good. Oh, we've seen a lot of Fuji recently.
We have. We saw it on Monday night. We get it again tonight. Hey, I mentioned that it's raining in. I mentioned that it was raining in South Africa. Sorry, in India for the match between Australia and South Africa at the moment. It's also running here in Ipswich. I've just taken the one ear of the headset off, and I can hear water trickling down the side of the house. So that's somewhat come out of nowhere. Hopefully the rain disperses before the weekend for the sake of our local cricket here in Ipswich. Now, on the subject of the weekend ahead, I mentioned I gave Lisa a shout out a few moments ago, now that she's the new category manager for TCR. But I need to actually also draw your attention to something that I'm doing this weekend, and I'm very proud of it too, ladies and gentlemen. Tune into the West Bromwich Sports channel on the West Bromwich Radio app on Saturday from 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time for our full replay of the Hyundai XL Nationals from carco.com.au Raceway Wanneroo. In Perth, 7 3/4 hours on day 1. Day 2 still in production. It'll be finished sometime tonight, and I'll have more details on that tomorrow. But yes, that'll be Sunday from 1 Eastern as well. And looking forward to that. Here's the replay of that extraordinary finish to Spreyton side of Formula V just a few moments ago. Chapman down the outside, Lavis hanging on by a thread. Noble by that point had given up. He had to concede and move up to the outside and hope for the best. And he got boxed in through the corner and wasn't able to get by Lavis in the run to the line. So very nicely done. Sam Chapman getting the win there. And now, of course, when you go into race control, I'm assuming that won't be anywhere near as exhilarating or heart palpitating as what you've just had.
Well, fingers crossed. Let's not count our chickens yet, Zach. But fingers crossed, it won't be as heart palpitating. What I will do because I better jump down there. So just before I go, it is official. It is going to be Detroit. So that's nice. Good. We'll get those servers up sometime over the next few days. Yep, Detroit, and Yep, that should be good for everyone, and I'll jump back in the box to have a chat to you guys a little bit later on.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Go well for the rest of the night. There he is, the round winner in round 8 of Spreyton side of Formula V, Sam Chapman. We're going to break on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Great to have you along for the ride. Thursday night motorsport for the third last time in 2023. More where that came from on the other side as we go from North America and Canada specifically to Fuji Speedway in Japan. We're going Oriental for Thursday night, just as we did for the primetime portion of Monday night, except this time it's not the main course, it's dessert. You've already had the main course, and what a show it was. Back with more on Thursday Night Motorsport across Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube on the other side of this. Don't go away. Nice to have you along for the ride wherever you're tuning in, all around Australia or indeed the world on platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. This is Thursday Night Motorsport across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Night 4 of Week 8 in Term 4 of 2023. Season 15 for the club. And we zoom in again on the Fuji Speedway in Japan. Of course, the host of the most recently 2007 and 2008 Japanese Formula One Grand Prix, host of a round of the World Endurance Championship in years gone by as well. Now hosting round 8 of Spreyton Cider Porsche Cup competition. No Matthew Dench on the grid tonight. Let's highlight that off the top because he's down in 25th place at the moment and he hasn't entertained the idea of punching in a competitive lap time, a 1:46.775 for him compared to Sam Muir's 1 minute 40.853. So either Dench is going to play a game from the rear of the grid just to make up the numbers, or he's clocked off and logged out. That's rather interesting. I'll follow that closely very shortly. We're about to have cars lining up on the grid here. We'll update the track and weather information for you in just a moment. We've got Sam Chapman joining us from Race Control. Actually, no, we don't. He's hopped back out again. It is a 4.48 kilometre circuit. Currently, track conditions set to 18 degrees ambient and 20 on track. And we are ready to rock and roll. Daniel Correa-Sar alongside yours truly, Zach Caban, having a look at the championship points for you as we venture into this round in both the Elite and the Open split. And no update from the cricket either, ladies and gentlemen. Channel 9 showing highlights of the Australia and Afghanistan match from last week. So that gives you an indication as to how bad the rain is in India at the moment. As far as the Elite split's concerned, Matt Dench 338, Sam Muir 331, Chris Whittaker 223, Anthony Adshead 221 and Jared Knight 219. 4 points back to Paul Wilson, further 3 back to Brendan Whittaker, 209 for Nick Wood, 202 for Dane Snadden, and 176 for Gordon Ramsay Marshall, making up the top 10. Adam Lavers 358 has a clear and comfortable lead, commanding lead in the Porsche Open Cup ahead of Joe Baldwin, 274, 239 for Tony Baker, 225 for David Christensen and Christian Koch on the same point score at the moment. Brett Bradbury, the only one in contention beyond that, on 218 points. Grid sees Sam Muir and Dane Snadden on the front row, Brendan Whittaker and Jared Knight the second. This will be interesting for 90. Jake Jackson and Cam Culverwell from 3. Chris Whittaker, Aiden Schultz from 4. Finally got home after sitting through an hour of delays on the M1, but I mean, he's no stranger to a 1 hour delay. He lives in Queensland. Gordon Marshall and Paul Wilson make up row 5. Russ Green and David Baz from 6. Tony Baker and Joe Baldwin from 7. Nick Wood, Adam Lavis from 8. Then Matt Schmidtke and Anthony Adshead from 9. Liam Banks, Brett Bradbury, Sean McClure, Blake Fitzpatrick. Then Christian Koch, Robert McGrath, and Matthew Dench has taken his place on the grid here. So what sort of games is the number one up to? I thought for certain that he wouldn't be here tonight, and I thought even more certain after only clocking the 25th fastest time that he would not be on the grid at all. Is he up to games? Is he going to try and do what he did on Monday night, Daniel Correa-Sar, and run up the field with a one-stop strategy here? We wait to find out. Wow. This all of a sudden got really spicy before it even got underway.
If he wins this from the back,
yes,
I have no words.
he deserves his championship. There's no doubt about that. We're ready to rock and roll. Thursday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Great to have you along for the ride. Oh no! That's a jump start! It's a jump start for Dane Snadden. Can you believe that? We get underway. Brendan Whittaker and Jared Knight swamp him already. Knight's made a beautiful start getting by Brendan Whittaker. It's clean at the front. But Dane Snadden's going to have an invoice coming to pit lane. Tries to get down on the inside. We're clean through the first corner. Chris Whittaker's made an okay jump. Sam Muir's taken the lead back off Jared Knight, who had his nose in front momentarily, but now yields. Let's see what Denchi can do from the back of the grid. Not mucking around. He's already up 3 spots. Dropped Sean McClure, Robert McGrath, and Tristan Koch in the rearview mirror. Jumpstart Dane Snadden. Race control will no doubt, well, this will be the internal iRacing race control, not our own personal GSRC team. They will throw the book at Snadden for that, unfortunately. Whoa! Elbows out. Buzz! Hung out to dry. It's on in earnest early. The gloves are off. as they head down towards the tight chicane at the end of the back straight for the first time. Look at them. It's almost crawling speed through there at a moderate tempo on the opening lap.
Oh, someone's round.
Now there's trouble.
That's Trucker Baldwin.
Joe's pointing the wrong way. Joe will be frustrated by that. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Can you believe this? Extraordinary start. Extraordinary drama. Matt Dench has moved up to 19th. He's made another 3 spots up on this opening lap, having got by Adshead, Bradbury, and also Baldwin. Into pit lane comes Dane Snadden. There's that stop-go penalty being served now. He was never going to get away with that, unfortunately. Round 8, ready to fire, and it's erupted very early in the pace. Oh, jeez. That was Jake Jackson trying to sandwich his way down on the inside of both Cam Culverwell, I should say, and Chris Whitaker. He got one, but he didn't get Whitaker. Brendan Whitaker is third. Trying to go with Jared Knight. Sam Muir's leading the way early. It's a 60-minute race. It's 20 minutes longer than last week. And that brings with it elements of uncertainty and strategic play. Will this be a 2-stopper? Will Denchi try and 1-stop it and win the race that way? Here he is, trying to get down on the inside of Adam Lavis. Does so. Makes light work of him. And now goes out in pursuit of Matt Schmidtke.
So for the field that we have, and considering the first lap, wasn't too bad. There was obviously we saw Trucker Baldwin facing the wrong way there. There was also that contact between David Baz and some other cars, which forced him to go wide, but no serious damage there, although I did just see that Sean McClure and Robert McGrath have both come together. Sam Muir has also had an incident.
Oh, no. Let's have a look at this. On the curb. Gets you every time. Now, was there contact from behind? It didn't sound like it, but let's look at how close Jared Knight was to his tail at that point. Let's watch this again from a different angle. Let's watch them come through, up, out. No, he's done it all on his own.
Yeah, no.
All on his own. Not that I was concerned for Knighty, but it's better to show it from both angles just to clarify it, just in case anyone suspects foul play. But yes, given the close proximity, based on what we saw from the first replay angle, the question had to be asked. And it's Gordon Marshall that we're riding on board with at the moment, getting down on the inside into 7th. Off goes Russ Green. Russ Green's gone. Dropping down, plummeting down the order. Green's out of business, down to 21st. Let's watch this. Curb.
Oh, no, sorry.
And spearing off to the left-hand side. Exit stage
there
left.
We go. That's the car we wanted.
Smashed the curb and then jumped the next curb, and the jump was what unsettled him. Did well to keep it off the wall. Drops 15 spots, but did well to keep it off the wall. So Dane Snadden's drive-through penalty sees him drop down to 25th place, makes a rod for his own back for the rest of the night. We'll still most likely have to stop twice along the way here. What's also more interesting here, two boys, is the amount of laps that will clock tonight. Remembering Monday night, we're a couple of seconds faster per lap than what we are at the moment. So we got around about that 1 minute 38.39 marker. Tonight we're running in the 142s currently. 142.818, the fastest lap of the race for Chris Whitaker. 142.070 now for Brendan Whitaker, the fastest lap of the race on lap 3. So we're running a little bit slower. So the other night we got to 36 laps. I think I'm right in saying 3 laps every 5 minutes made 6, 10, 6 times 6 is 36, yeah. And then we've also got to factor in to the equation the pit stops as well. So there could potentially be only 35 laps mainly, maybe tonight. So keep an eye out for all of those different ingredients to play out before our very eyes. And scenarios as well. Jared Knight, the leader. Brendan Whitaker second. Chris Whitaker fending off Jake Jackson and Cam Culverwell at the moment. Here's Matty Dench now in 14th. chasing both Matt Schmidtke. He's got by Schmidtke on the inside. And
Whoa!
Sam Muir as well.
That's a
What about
merge.
that? That's a merge if ever you've seen one.
Oh, but he's fighting him back around the outside. It's not going to be ideal going into this hairpin.
No. Oh, boy. It's been good thus far. There's no doubt about that. Gloves off early in the piece. Shots fired. Now, actually, this has worked almost perfectly for Denchi. Because with Sam Muir now back there as well, they might potentially work together here. And claw their way back into the game. I can't wait to have a chat to Denchi after the fact. And see what the reason for the poor qualifying was.
Maybe he fell asleep in the car again.
Possibly, because it doesn't add up to me. Like Denchi, maybe he's given himself a challenge. I don't know, because at the moment he's just punched out a 1:42.622, which is only 6/10 off the fastest lap of the race thus far, and he's boxed in traffic. Whereas Whittaker's had clear air, 1:42.031, and a tow from Rd-8 as well. So, yeah, no, I just get a sneaky feeling, a nasty suspicion that Denchi's up to his usual tricks.
Both he and Sam Muir right now just held up slightly by Blake Fitzpatrick. Looks like Sam Muir is going to try and shoot up on the inside there. And Blake Fitzpatrick just proving that the old school Holden Dealer Team Mobile 1 livery goes well on anything. I really do like that livery. It's got nice striking colours. So, yes, Matthew Dench will go. Yes, around the outside, Blake Fitzpatrick will let them go. It's not really his race. Blake, of course, in the open class. Currently being led by David Bass, P6 at the moment. So, a good run for him. Nick Wood here as well, chasing down Matt Schmidtke. Almost like to get past down towards turn one. The drive quite strong here at Fuji. And I'm just keeping an eye on that time there for Matt Dench too, because it looks like he isn't trying to make a pass at all. He's just sticking nice and close to the back of Sam Muir. So I think you might be right there, Zach. I think for now at least, he's definitely using this from a strategy perspective, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him. Oh, here we go. So, Dave, I had a bit of a discussion with Matt, suggested this for a bit of a challenge. Look at that.
There we go. I like it. I really like it. Now, just getting word through, rain has stopped at the Eden Gardens ground in Calcutta. Play to resume in the World Cup semi-final between Australia and South Africa at 9:25 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Now, that means that we won't have lost any overs from the game to this point. They've got a 1 hour buffer. Once an hour has elapsed of rain delay, they then start implementing the Duckworth-Lewis Stern system. So at the moment, South Africa will resume at 4 for 48 and 4 for 44, I should say. And of course, we will get the resumption of play at 9:25 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, 3:55 p.m. local there in India. So keep an eye out for that as we continue here at the Fuji Speedway. I love it that that's the second time in recent memory that I can recall Matty Dench being issued a challenge. We challenged him here in Central Commentary, Banksy and I, down the inside of Sam Muir. Can he get the job done? Yes, he can. Matt Dench moves up to 11th.
That was an opportune
Next target,
moment.
Paul Wilson. And watch him just reel Wilson in on the run down the main straight here. The slipstream will work perfectly to his advantage. He might be able to get two for the price of one. That being said, Wilson's getting a nice little tag along here from Tony Baker. Down the main straight we go. Dench might be close enough down the crack. No, he's going to tuck back in and follow Baker through.
Yeah.
So Liam Banks and I initiated the challenge process here, Daniel Chris. We said, look, now that you've wrapped up the GT Championship with a round to go, have a crack in the Ford GT for us. Just see if it's the car or see if it's, the driver's not willing to persevere with it. He came out and won the bloody thing, right? Now Dave's initiated the challenge, instigated it, and he said, have a crack from the rear of the grid and see how you go, son. And at the moment, he's going bloody beautifully. In 11th place at the moment. Next target, Paul Wilson, and we're not even 7 laps into the race. This is lap 7, so we're 6.5 laps in. Bench yet to stop. Be interesting to see what the fuel window is. Remember that the other night he had to get lap 18 to get home on one stop. Will he be able to do it in the Porsche the same way he did in the GT3 Ferrari? Only time will tell.
It was a very good move there by Dench, which was a 4-to-twin because Samuel got caught out by Paul Wilson going slightly slower into the final corner. So Matthew Dench slotted up on the inside, knew that he'd have a better run and got past. And he's doing the exact same thing here too. He'll shoot up right over on the inside. And the last corner here at Fuji is one you really have to pay attention to. See those sausage curbs on the left there? There's an interesting coding problem with those. So the first one isn't an issue. The second one will send you to the moon. So as this race goes on and on, drivers will need to heed that warning and remember, because it will damage your suspension and it will put you out of the race. It's such a harsh hit. I don't know exactly what makes the two different. I don't know if it's an accident or if it is on purpose. Maybe that one is just more severe in the real world. I'm not too sure, but yeah, that'll definitely keep you awake for the remainder of the race. So a good job there from Dench. Up now into the top 10. So 15 positions gained from the number 1, and we're only 13 minutes in.
Yep, still 47 minutes to go. Remembering that we've got a big night of sport that we're trying to stay across for you, ladies and gentlemen. Brendan Whitaker's pushing Jared Knight along here in the battle for the outright lead. In round 8 of Spreyton side of Porsche Cup racing, we've had a magnificent trio of Formula V races a short while ago, culminating with Sam Muir getting a double and Chris Noble winning the earlier race. Currently, the race leader is Jared Knight. The leader of the open split is David Baz, according to our timesheets here. And Porsche TBC has 3 participants tonight. But only 2 of them started. Yeah. Jamie Budd's in race control. Right. Cam Culverwell and Sean McClure. It'll be interesting to see where they're classified, whether they're open or elite competitors by the end of the night. And we had 25 starters. 24 still running. Robert McGrath, the earlier retirement. Jared Knight, the leader. Bringing it.
Oh! Oh, he
and
caught
goes Ross Green again. The teammate of Jared Knight, his second off-track excursion of the night.
Anthony Adshed's also had an adventure. Oh, they both locked up at the same time. That's interesting. So Adshead went wide to the left, and Russ Green ended up cutting in on the right, on the inside. So he's actually teleported to pits because of that.
Down the main straight again. And at 1:41.530, Matt Dench now in 9th place, up 16 spots, and has himself the fastest lap of the motor race by a substantial margin, 0.4 of a second.
Will McGrath there with a -5 point penalty for contact with David Baz on lap 2. And I'll assume that's because Robert McGrath did leave the server before the penalty could be issued. And so by the rule set, it does come off as a license point penalty rather than an in-race penalty.
And that is good, I must admit, that race control have those procedures in place whereby if they can't issue a penalty during the race for whatever reason, or they want to issue a penalty but the player's already hit the rage quit button, they can apply a penalty after the fact to still serve the penance, if you like, or issue it at the very least. So just going around the grounds, 93-92, Breakers lead Jack Jumpers in the first of a doubleheader on a Thursday night with the NBL. So we'll keep you across that in the next short while. Australia and Bangladesh still locked at 0-0 in the World Cup soccer qualifier as well.
Tony Baker here and Paul Wilson in a close fight for that 10th position. Tony Baker up 2 spots from the start of this race. Blake Fitzpatrick behind him up 10. But of course the biggest mover is Matthew Dench, 17 positions gained from the start of this race.
Right. So is this just Denchy's way of trying to get an extra bonus point? Like, if he can win the race from here, and there's no reason he can't, let's be perfectly honest, he's only 13 seconds off the leaders at the moment. There's still enough time in this race. And if he's up to his usual tricks of lifting and coasting, and he can do it on one stop and everybody else has to bite the bullet and take an extra transit down pit lane for a splash and dash, then he could get the only bonus point he'll miss will be for pole. So instead of getting the pole bonus, he'll get the hard charger bonus and for most positions gained.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely on the cards. He's definitely fuel saving though. I've seen it a couple of times and I'll be able to confirm it here. So we'll stay on board as he shoots down towards the first corner. As Marshall's going to try and look up on the inside here. I wonder if he'll get it. But just listen to that engine. Here we are, 6th gear, pinned, and there we go. Very nicely done there. Business as usual, as Gordon Marshall does manage to go up on the inside of Culverwell. And he will move up to... of David Baz, my mistake. And he will move up into P6. Culverwell still in P5, chasing down Jake Jackson in the Porsche.
So we're on lap 11. Terrific to have you along for the ride. Thursday Night Motorsport. The platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Play resuming in India at Eden Gardens in Calcutta. South Africa 4 for 44 after 14. Yes, a lot of 4s in that. But Adam Zamper's got the ball in hand, ready to rock and roll. We've got all our eyes on Jared Knight and Brendan Whitaker and Chris Whitaker at the moment. No real battles in the top end of town. The first that we can tell you about is Jake Jackson and Cam Culverwell, 4th and 5th in this battle on screen here. Gordon Marshall and David Baz, 6th and 7th in the car race. But we're talking about 2 blokes in different classes. Marshall in the elite split and Baz in the open.
Yeah, but another thing to notice, I didn't realise this at first until I just double-checked whether anybody had transited down the pit lane. Sam Muir has done his. He did his on lap 8. So he's done a very, very early pit stop, I suppose, with the little spin that he had. Maybe he thought if he gets it done early, he might be able to jump the rest towards the end. So keep an eye on that and see if that works in his favour. That is a very early pit stop. Very early. So I don't know if maybe it was damage or if he's... Yeah, I'm not sure if he gets to the end from here.
But, well, maybe. Maybe. Because we know that the full run is normally about 22, 23, maybe 25 minutes, as many. So there's no reason why he couldn't go long in the second stint here and then top up and get home from there. I'd be more worried if it was inside the first 10 minutes, as opposed to almost 1/3 race distance. But you're right, it is an early stop. Russ Green's been in the lane for 3 minutes 28, so I don't think he's going anywhere except the back of the garage just quietly. Anthony Ads head out of the race. Now, that's interesting. I didn't see what happened to Anthony. His night's done, parked up at the end of lap 7. Russ Green, 3:36 and 25, back out onto the racetrack. So, no, I stand corrected. He's going to get back out there, but he is going to be 2 laps down. Sean McClure still on pit lane after 17, 18, 19 seconds. Wait and see if he's staying longer or he's about to get back out onto the racetrack. It's a long pit stop for Sean McClure. Maybe he's been brought undone by pit lane entry. Sam Muir was only in pit lane at the end of lap 8 for 9 seconds. So they're the stops thus far. We're on lap 13 for Jared Knight. Cam Culverwell's completing lap 12 now. Brendan Whitaker's within a second of Jared Knight. Chris Whitaker's on his lonesome in third. Jack Jackson's under pressure from Culverwell at the moment. Culverwell driving down the inside. Can he get the job done? No. But he hangs the nose down the inside and trips Jackson up and into a mistake. Culverwell with his nose in front of the battle for fourth. Jackson will fight back on the inside as they come up towards turn 3. Got him back. Very nicely done. Great battle for fourth in the motor race right now, and it's inviting Marshall and Baz back into the mix as well. They're able to latch on here and potentially make it a 4-way fight. Dench is 8th, and he's only 12 seconds off Jared Knight. He's about to get onto this train and into the mix. This is working perfectly into the hands of Matt Dench, because once he gets onto that train, he'll be doing a little bit of lifting and coasting and a little bit of fuel saving at the same time. Mega benefits. Everything falling into Dench's lap almost perfectly tonight. What goes Culverwell?
And Jackson. Jackson ended up cutting. You can see the tyre treads in the grass there. So I don't know exactly what happened, but he just went a little too deep. That's allowed Marshall to shoot right up there. He's going to try and track it on the outside. No, he actually falls back in line, takes a safer option. And what do you know? There is a familiar sight of a black and gold car at the end of that train. And it is the one and only Matthew Dench.
Geez, if he can pull this off, it'll be one of it will be one of his most clinical performances. I mean, we've seen some impressive stuff from him leading from the front, but from the rear, the old burn from the stern. Oh, geez, it'd be something else.
You know what's crazy too? He'll get this done. Watch this.
Down the inside. There's the first one. That's Baz ticked off.
Oh, actually.
Whoa! Baz wanted to go a little bit deeper and wanted to force the issue. He had no choice but to yield in the end because Dench jammed it down the inside.
Yeah, he really wanted that position.
Baz out to dry.
Yeah, he wanted that position, so he didn't lift and coast that time. Instead, he kept the power on. I thought that he would maintain the same style of driving. I thought he might just lift and coast anyway and then trick David into braking late and take the inside. But no, he thought he better keep the power on. Dench only 12 seconds off the lead with 45 minutes to go. Looking ominous, yes, as Zach pointed out.
Absolutely it is.
Oh, look at how close he's getting to Jake Jackson too. What's immense is his ability to apply pressure. Because the problem is, it's similar to Senna back in the day where he would. It's not as aggressive, I'll admit. Matthew Dench is a little bit more gentlemanlike, but that is to be expected. We are in the GSRC. But Senna would play a move where, and he wasn't the only one to do this, but he was well known. He would put his car in a position where it was up to you as to whether or not you would have a crash. And if you gave him the space and you backed out, he knew from that point on that psychologically he owned you. And any time he showed nose, you'd move out of the way. And I feel that for some of the drivers here, the same effect applies to Matthew Dench.
Jackson's in trouble. Baz is into pit lane. Jackson's under the pump now. Dench down the inside. Job done. Dench to 5th. 20 spots already. And we haven't even got to the opening round of pit stops, ladies and gentlemen. 12.8 seconds in the rears of Jared Knight is under pressure from Brendan Whitaker. Chris Whitaker's running a lonely third. Autumn Marshall leads this train, and Dench is on his heels. This is awesome. Oh, well worth the price of admission turning up on this particular Thursday night, ladies and gentlemen. How about this for a show? Now, an update for you too, ladies and gentlemen, from the Subway Socceroos. And I hope I'm getting this right. Australia and Bangladesh. 5-0. It's now showing the score. I had 0-0 there for a little while. Maybe there was a problem with their online match centre, but yes, 5-0. Socceroos up over Bangladesh at the moment. National Basketball League match ended up with the Jack Jumpers going down to the Breakers, 97-92. Perth and Cairns still to come, but we'll be off air before that match finishes. So I think it's safe to say that we've got one Aussie team home tonight. We're rooting for Matty Dench to go from rear to first, from last to first, and we've obviously got all eyes on South Africa and Australia in the World Cup cricket semi-final as well. 16 overs gone 2 overs have been bowled since the resumption of play, and it's 4 for 46.
Might just get your opinion on something, Zach, too. So
Yeah,
this
mate.
weekend is the inaugural running of the Las Vegas Grand Prix Formula One. And I must say, as a person and resident of Australia, I could not be more happy with the times.
It's absolutely beautiful, isn't it?
Race
2
is
Western,
at
5
5
Eastern on that Sunday afternoon. And am I right in saying that, no, next weekend's our Enduro round. So it almost worked perfectly. We could have had the Enduro by day and Formula One by afternoon. It would have been absolutely terrific to have that set up as a double header. But there'll be a lot of people disappointed up here in Queensland because the final round of the Queensland State Motor Racing Championships is on out at Morgan Park in Warwick this weekend, including the running of the 2023 HQ Nationals. So a lot of our friends up here in the alleged Sunshine State are actually going to miss watching it live. It'll be the first thing they watch when they get home, I'm sure. I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to it immensely. I'm coming home from work Saturday afternoon via lunch with a mate that's now recently moved up into this part of the world. Poor bastard. Anyway, so going and having lunch with him and looking forward to it immensely. And good on you, Benny Hilston, if you are tuning in tonight by any chance. So I'm looking forward to that. But as soon as we're done, qualifying's at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Saturday night. Like, it's prime time Formula One qualifying, and then a 5 p.m. start on Sunday afternoon for the race. The track looks sensational. The attention to detail, typical American. Jared Knight, Brendan Whittaker both to pit lane at the end of lap 16. Now, this is where it gets interesting. We're at the end of lap 16, 27 and a half minutes in. Matt Dench continues on. Just as we anticipated, just as we suspected. Keep your eyes on that guy, ladies and gentlemen. Jake Jackson goes with him. Marshall Culverwell go to pit lane. And I reckon Schultz, Baker, and a few others won't be too far behind. So, yes, the Las Vegas round of the Formula One World Championship. It's America, so everything screams over the top. They're making it a big show, though. Championship's wrapped up, so it is a dead rubber. But it's the first time in 42 years that we've had the pleasure of going racing in that part of the world. So it'll be great fun. And then as soon as you wrap that up on Sunday afternoon, race should finish somewhere between 6:37 Eastern. The Cricket World Cup final gets underway at 7:30. So you couldn't ask for a better Sunday afternoon, evening into Monday morning on the lounge, as far as I'm concerned. And around about the time that the World Cup final will be getting towards the crunch end, a vitally important round of the World Motorcycle Championship as well, with the MotoGP Qatar Grand Prix the early hours of Monday morning. So if you want sport at the top level on the international stage this weekend, you've come to the right place. There's no doubt about that. Domestically, AFLW, not WAFL, that's Western Australia's men's league. AFLW is underway. The A-Leagues have a week off because the Socceroo World Cup qualifiers. The Women's A-League continues, however. The business end of the WBBL, plenty to look forward to this weekend. So, but yes, 2 big motor racing events at the forefront of it. And then next week, of course, there'll be a lot of eyes on Adelaide, just not mine. Matt Dench to pit lane at the end of 17 or not? No. Dench is going around again. This is awesome.
Is it a faster lap? No. Oh, you can hear the car cut
not.
out there. So he set it the previous one.
5:07, and he's got to 17, and he's got there in just over 29 minutes. So he's going to get to 18 in 31 by the time he comes back around. And I get the feeling that we're heading for 35 laps tonight, Daniel. Unless Denchi can drag us to 36. But the fact that he's got to 18 puts him in very good territory to get the job done. Either way it goes. If it's 35, he's as good as home. Because if he can get to 17, even though he'll be leading from the front here, if he can get to 17 and 18 when everybody else has bit the bullet and pulled the trigger although Banksy's going around again, Banksy's got to 18. Those two, Banks and Dench, the only two to get to 18, it could serve them well in the long run. And we saw Denchy do this exactly the other night.
Nick Wood's also up there. He hasn't pit as well.
Oh, sorry. No, you're right. Nick Wood, my apologies. So, but he is 16 seconds in arrears of Dench. So yes. Dench and Wood and Banks, that's it. They're the ones that have got to 18. So whether we go 35 or 36 laps, if they've got to 18 first time round, there's no reason why they couldn't get to 18 second time round if they've got their plan of attack mapped out just nicely. Remembering full well the other night, it worked out okay for Denchi because he found someone to drag him along, bring him along for the ride. He was able to save some fuel following people through. Can he do the same again here? We're about to find out. Down the main straight to pit lane comes Matt Dench. This is the time. This is the critical lap where he pulls off to pit lane. 31 minutes gone. Denchi with 29 minutes to go. He's one pit stop away potentially from an extraordinary performance and another exceptional masterclass victory in the Spreyton Cider Porsche Cup on a night where Sam Muir will be left to rue what might have been. This was a critical round for him too, Daniel, because he was only 7 points behind Denchi in the championship. He needed to make every box a winner, every post a winner. Remember, what's left for the Porsches? We've got Imola next week, and that's a circuit that Denchi loves. Then we go to Phillip Island, and we know his performances there in the past as well. There's no reason why Denchi couldn't yet get this done, despite giving Sam Muir a little bit of a leg up by not being here on the grid for round 2 and not being here on the grid for round 7. So the absence of Matt Dench, we thought that this was going to be the season, and he said it himself back here in week 1. You remember you were here with me. He said back in week 1, I'm not contesting the full championship. I'm not committed to the whole campaign. We'll turn up when we can, but we're going to focus on other things. Maybe he's just lured us all into a trap of uncertainty and false optimism and hope. And now, in 8 rounds, he might be able to just get the job done. But he has to turn up next week. He has to turn up the week after. Muir's too close. Neither one of them has any drop rounds at their disposal, and that's why tonight will hurt Muir especially, because it's P5 at the moment. He is on the tail of Dench, who's rejoined the race in 4th place, but he's only 10 seconds behind Jared Knight. But knowing that we're going beyond 32 laps, knowing that Knighty and Brendan Whitaker pitted on lap 16, I think they're in trouble. I think there's a splash and dash to come for them, and I don't think Denchi's in the same predicament. So I think he's, perfectly poised to get the job done again and do the Fuji double on a circuit that he's not, the biggest fan of.
Yeah, he did tell us that. He did say it wasn't one of his favourites. I can understand why. There's a lot of very specific technical parts at Fuji. I will say this, though, watching the 6 hour from the WEC, it was really, really good. But that is also multi-class racing. That always brings in an extra flavour there. As we hit the 20th lap of the race, just watching Jake Jackson trying to get past Gordon Marshall. Doesn't seem to be able to do it thus far. And all the while, Cam Culverwell is also cracking down on him. All these gaps have really exploded across the field. So everyone, let's see, 5, 3, 2, 2, 11 down there for Troy Baker. 11 as well for Joe Baldwin. So really nothing else happening. Everybody on the grid has pit now. Everybody has come in. So we'll see how it develops to the end. I wonder if everybody will go to the end or if there'll be a second pit stop. I think for the majority of them, they'll have a second pit stop.
Joining us in the booth at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time this evening, Jamie Budd from Race Control, and for the second time tonight, Sam Chapman, but now in his role as a race control operator rather than as a Formula V race winner. Good evening, gentlemen. What's the report card so far, please?
Report card's pretty clear so far. There hasn't been they've been pretty good, and these hour races are usually a bit more, bit easier than the sprint races, and I think with Fuji, we've seen pretty decent racing in recent weeks as well. But yeah, there was just that sort of 3-wide battle early on in race 1, where Aiden Schultz was sort of in the middle there, but probably had a bit more room to give on the inside, so just a very small penalty there. Joe Baldwin and Gordon Marshall, it's a difficult one to call. Gordon went wide into that the chicane a little bit, but also maybe Joe was sticking his nose in a bit late, so it was a difficult one to call there. So we just went with no further action because they probably both could have avoided in some respect. And Jamie, you did the final one, so I'll leave that one for you.
Sorry, I was a bit distracted. What am I doing? No.
Just that final penalty, mate. The one that I wasn't involved in.
Sorry, I'm too busy watching this masterclass of fuel saving from Denchi.
And Liam Banks, I hope you know as well.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
For getting back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, that one was pretty clear cut. Sean locked the front and went straight through Sean. So, and then unfortunately he decided that his night was done. So we gave him 5 championship points, and yes, it is what it is.
Copy that. 5 championship points. Will that make a difference in the greater scheme of things? Only time will tell. Brendan Whitaker at the moment sitting there in position number 2 all over the back of Jared Knight. Great to have you blokes stopping on by to have a chat to us. Obviously, the result of not having as much work to do. So clearly these blokes have got to get their act together to give you something to do. I suspect the gloves will come off a little bit later on in the race. Keep an eye on Jack Jackson all over the back of Gordon Marshall at the moment, 23 minutes away from time. And Brendan Whitaker all over the back of Jared Knight. Great fight for the lead unfolding here at the moment. Chris Whitaker holding down a nice third, but about to be under pressure from Matt Dench, who's punched out the fastest lap of the race just now, boys. 141.411. That bloke is just incredible. There's no doubt about that. Sam Muir back in 5th place. But again, the concern here is we know Muir's got to stop again. He only stopped on lap 8. We know he's got to stop again. He'll get home on one more stop, but he's going to potentially drop down the order as a result of that. It'll be a bigger fuel too than everybody else because of how much earlier he came into the pit lane. Brendan Whitaker's kept Jared Knight honest here all night long thus far. So their second round of pit stops is going to be well worth keeping an eye on too. South Africa 4 for 64. Just updating you on the cricket, ladies and gentlemen. We're at 9:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Keep up, Queensland, you'll be right. And Matt Dench is up 21 spots. That's the big storyline of the night here. He was challenged by his old boy to... the lights are on at the Fuji Speedway. There we go. He was challenged by Dave to jump in and race from the back, start last. So far, he's making a mockery of it. In 4th place already, only 7 seconds off Chris Whitaker. Only 0.6 of a second off Chris Whitaker, who's only 7 seconds off these blokes further up in front. Knight holding off Whitaker again to turn 1 as we start lap number 23. Wow. Just when you thought you'd seen it all, Matt Dench might tick a box that he's never ticked before tonight.
Yeah, and at Fuji. When did you buy this track?
Yeah, exactly.
How
much does he like the track? Not at all.
Not at all. Looks like he could fuel save 2 of them within the week. It is funny how Fuji is that track that you can save a lot of fuel. Every race we've had here in the last few weeks, it's been the difference between 2 stop and 1 stop. Yeah. And that pit lane is just so long. It takes so much time out that it's just worth doing.
I can actually shine some light as to why that's the case. So Fuji's characteristic is that it has a lot of elevation change. And so when you get to T1, it's downhill. And then all of that, all the way down, is downhill. So you can get off the accelerator and coast, and you're still gaining, you're still traveling at a decent momentum. And so that lends itself to fuel saving strategy, so much so that in the real world, and I think I might have touched on this last time out, we were here with the GT3s, Ben Keating, who drives for the Corvette racing team in WEC, fuel saved 30 minutes longer than anyone else in that class. And the reason is because he brakes with his right foot. And so therefore he does not have his foot on the accelerator as much as everyone else. And he mentioned that because of the undulation on the track, there are significant downhill sections where you can just back off and still maintain speed rolling down. So yeah, it's Fuji's a great one for racing. Honestly, it provides really. I can understand why some people don't like it. That hairpin is testing.
Single screen is hard work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's that's interesting because I didn't really know that it was downhill, but I did notice when I was trying to fuel save the GT4, obviously to the end, you don't lose that much time lifting off quite a long way early, and part of that's you're going very, very fast to begin with, so you're not gaining much speed at that point anyway. But yeah, that makes sense that it is that downhill sort of aspect of it. And there are other points on this track where you don't need to be getting on the throttle, through these sweeping turns. Some people will be, feathering and pushing the throttle as soon as they get out of it or throughout the turn. Whereas you can sort of just ease through it, save some tyres, it might take a little bit more time, but not a whole lot. And by keeping off that and keeping away from the brakes, you can save a huge amount of fuel around here. So it definitely makes it interesting for strategy. Yeah, Dench looking a little bit inevitable given he's still making up time on these leaders. And we know full well that he's on a preferable strategy. Be interested to see, keep an eye on the other guys that were lap 18 as well. So, and I'm calling up Liam again, because it will be roughly 45 seconds time lost in pit lane roughly through here, I reckon.
Yep.
That's probably the way to think about those guys, as long as they hold their spot there. But yeah, interesting race ahead. We'll see those final stages. As was seen previously, there'll probably be a few that can I try and make it and push it out and then come in a lap or two to go? Or
Sam Muir's just coming to the pits. I was wondering why he was dropping down the field, sorry. But no, he's just coming to the pits again there. So 25 or 24 for him.
Yeah. Well, the other aspect is you can play around with strategies a bit around here, because there is that ability to overtake, and if you don't, if you want to save fuel, you can behind another car. So as long as you don't end up in a huge amount of traffic, and this grid is relatively spread out now, so you're probably not going to end up in those battle packs that really slow you down. You can do an alternate strategy, but whether or not it's worth it is questionable. I tried Sam Muir's strategy the other night and it didn't work out at all. So we'll see.
Down the main straight again, Jared Knight and Brendan Whitaker. 0.2 of a margin. 0.2 of a second, the margin, I should say. Look at me trying to trim the sentences down. Down the inside, will Whitaker have a lunge this time around? No. Is he up to no good for Jared Knight here? Is he using Jared Knight to his own advantage? Will he trick him and trip him up in pit strategy and come out with the lead? But then again, will it be a lead? Because we're all expecting Denchi to only one-stop this. And he's only 6.9 seconds away. Only 6.9 seconds away from Jared Knight at the moment. So whatever happens from here, if Denchi is one-stopping this and everybody else has got a slash and dash, they're going to lose a heck of a lot of time. Was that a touch? My goodness, that was close between Whitaker and Knight. Keep an eye on Denchi, because if he is up to his usual tricks, then everybody else is racing for the minors. But it could still be second for Brendan Whitaker, and it could be a two-positional loss for Jared Knight if that's the case. This race is far from over. We're at the 44.5-minute mark, 15.5 to go. Lap 26. We're staring down the barrel of 35 laps here. I think the option of 36 has come and gone. We'll wait and see on that as they come back around. I was going on the notion of 3 laps every 5 minutes at about 1:40. But the lap times have been consistently in that 1:41, 1:42 bracket. Across the line we go, 45 minutes and 10 seconds gone. So we're outside that threshold to get 10 laps from here. We start lap 27. This is a 35-lap race now, so that even more so works into Dench's favour and advantage.
Yeah, and look, Jared Knight, 143.4. Brendan Whitaker, 143.5. Matthew Dench, 142.3. So he's
taking his
just
punch out.
flying. Unfortunately, at that rate, there's going to be no competition there. He will surely make it past. You can hear Jared Knight over parts of the lap still trying to fuel save. So as they come down to the hairpin, we'll jump on board and you'll be able to hear that characteristic cut of the engine as he comes down towards it. So he is doing his best to try and extend to the end, but I don't think... The problem with doing that is Matthew Dench doesn't have to. So he'll be able to just pin it.
Everyone behaving themselves, hence why we've got a full house in the commentary box. We've got Jamie Budd and Sam Chapman here. Daniel was picking my brain about the upcoming Formula One Grand Prix in Las Vegas this weekend, boys. Will you be tuning in? What are you looking forward to most?
Oh, I'm looking forward to what's going to happen. I mean, the big one is the cold, how the tyres are going to pan out. So I'm looking forward to Haas being on pole position, holding it all, getting it all together and taking a win, I reckon, because they can't do much, but they can heat up their tyres. So that's my hope. It'll be interesting. I sort of want to see what happens. I know it's a bit of a gimmick, but what happens on the big old sphere as well? What are they going to put up there?
How cool is that thing?
It is cool.
Honestly.
Like, it's not financially viable, but it's very cool.
If you live in the area, you'd crap yourself if you weren't careful. You'd look out the window and there'd be giant eyeballs just staring at you, and you'd be like, "What?" Apparently inside, so you two actually have it booked out at the moment. They're doing a residency in that
inside
sphere.
looks incredible.
It's apparently next level. I will probably never see the inside of that thing in real life. But it's a cool technological marvel. My question is, what's the maintenance going to look like?
It's about 500. Was it 500,000 a month or something? Something silly.
For maintenance? No.
It's a lot.
Surely not.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. I can't. It was a lot of money.
Having said that, to hire it out for a day is $200,000. So you might actually be onto something.
Yeah. Like I mean, like look, it's like many millions of LEDs, right? Like it truly is a technological marvel. Can you imagine replacing one that goes out? Like, because they would have to do that every now and then, right? Surely. So I don't know what the process is around that, but it would be wild. But yeah, it does feel a little dystopian, but like, it's also Las Vegas, and that sort of is, a neon city in the middle of the desert. It always sort of had that vibe, right?
Australia should 100% build one of those for only for one purpose, and the purpose is, right? That's where they draw like Oz Lotto and Powerball, and it gets drawn on the big sphere. That to me, that's what that should be used for. Or a big Australia-wide game of bingo. Just a giant 44.
Australians don't gamble enough. Yeah.
Well, I'm just going down into sphere for a couple.
You mentioned Oz Lotto and Powerball. Both are set up for $20 million draws next week, just quietly. Well, that'll be a nice little early Christmas present, gentlemen. So keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, the rain delays actually worked into the favour of the South Africans. They progressed along to 4 for 70, but they're in the 23rd over. So unfortunately, they've got to get a fair bit of a clip on if they're going to set Australia a competitive target to chase down here. In the meantime, an update from further down the field. Daniel's got his eyes on Aiden Schultz there at the moment in 14th place, and he is currently sitting 4th in the open split. Leader of the open split at the moment, Tony Baker in 9th, ahead of Matt Schmidtke, Adam Lavis. Then Aiden Schultz, Liam Banks, Brett Bradbury, Joe Baldwin and David Baz. Looking at those that aren't going to take the checkered flag tonight, we know that Robert McGrath's out. Blake Fitzpatrick is also parked up. Tristan Koch is a lap down. He's still running, though. And beyond that, Russ Green has been in pit lane for 26 minutes, so even if he does get back out there, he can't be classified. Anthony Adshead was an early retirement. We're still none the wiser as to why. And Sean McClure is out of business as well. And Tristan Koch is the last of the current runners on the circuit at the moment. He's 1 lap down. David Baz also 1 lap down. Culverville gets by Jackson. Jackson's on pit road, so too Chris Whitaker. So that second round of pit stops, gentlemen, has arrived, has started to play out. Jared Knight and Brendan Whitaker continue on for another lap. 0.4 the margin. Matt Dench only 3.3 seconds away now. He is closing in, but I don't think he really needs to bother at this point in time. If he can make it on fuel, he doesn't need to worry about getting these guys on track, because we're expecting them to make their way to pit lane at some point for top up, and it is a long pit lane, and there's a lot of time lost on that pit lane for the sake of a couple of litres of fuel. It's very, very unfortunate for those that can't get the job done on one stop. But well done to Nick Wood, I should say, to Liam Banks and to Danchi, if they can get this done on one stop. We saw a few guys up to their old tricks on Monday night for the same reason in a 36-lap race, and we know this one's only going 35.
Yeah, and I think they will be able to get it done, I would imagine. So question is whether there's lap 17 stoppers might be able to stretch it out at all.
18,
I think,
yeah.
So the 18 I reckon will get it done. Lap 17 is probably a question mark. So like if we look at the open sprint, Adam Lavis was lap 17, so we'll see where he pans out, because otherwise, it looks like Banksy is in a very good position, because the rest are on lap 16 stoppers. So this is going to shuffle a lot towards the end of the race here. If we got 7 minutes left to go, it's mirror of what we saw on Monday again, I reckon.
Absolutely. So closing stages. Don't forget to stay with us. Post-race show coming up as per usual. Nice to have you along for the ride. Our coverage of round 8 of the Spreyton Cider Porsche Cup from the famed Fuji circuit in Japan. At this point in time, finally, it's prime time in Western Australia. They're finally getting the memo to switch over to 9 to the main channel to watch the Cricket World Cup. South Africa 4 for 74. We've had a rain delay. The game will go a little bit longer if it gets to play out to its full duration. And a nice cut shot away just there for Klassen to get the score up to 4 for 76. So they're in all sorts of trouble, the South Africans, but slowly but surely clawing their way out of it. But what's up against them is overs left and time left. Knight, Whitaker, both to pit lane.
Yo!
Whitaker, Brendan plays on. Dench plays on as well.
Do we reckon
Brendan
Dench is going
Whitaker
to try and get
plays
him on
on and
track?
tries to one-up Jared Knight. I was waiting for them to go in and Brendan to one-up him in pit lane. I really was. Now he needs a demon of an in-lap here to make it count. This is an interesting gamble. But what's more interesting is that Knight only went 15 laps in that stint. And Whitaker's going to go 16 and duplicate what he did earlier in proceedings.
Nick Wood exit out in front. Let's have a look. Yes. Oh my God, he's right there. No, a second. 1 second. So Nick Wood just behind Jared Knight in the exit. Sam Muir's down there in P11 as well, so not a lot of time for him to claw back up. But if everybody ahead of him does come in, so Chris Whitaker obviously won't. He pit lap 29. Schmidtke and Lavis may, so they'll come in. That'll be 2 for him. Yeah, he could be in for a good, a decent finishing position. Definitely be in the top 10.
After pit stops as well in that open class, it's going to be close between Tony Baker and Lamb, I think, too. assuming Tony has to head back in. They're what, about 32 seconds. So Tony probably slightly on the back foot, but won't have to spend as much time saving fuel. So that could be an interesting battle too.
Now, where does Brendan come out?
That's the more interesting storyline playing out here at the moment. Where does Brendan come out in relation to Jared? Because we know that Dentchy's playing the long game. We know that Dentchy's got 3 laps to go, and we know that he's probably going to win this in a canter. The margin is 21 seconds so far. It's 33 from Dench tonight. Whitaker's out. Whitaker's out. Whitaker's on the move. 5.63 seconds is all he was stopped for. Knight was 5.67. Knight's going to be coming down the outside. There he goes. Jared Knight to second. But not by much. Whitaker's still right in this. He's left
Nick
the
Wood.
door open to Nick Wood. Nick Wood throws the spanner in the works potentially. Have a look at Whitaker fighting back into third on the inside, running down to turn 3. Dench, Knight, Whitaker, and Wood. And all of a sudden, a potential podium finish is at stake here, and Wood is going to give Whitaker a big hurry up for it. How good is this? So forget about Dench, he's gone. He's half a minute up the road. Half a bloody minute up the road. That's insane. It is ridiculous. 2 laps to go at the line.
Oh, he's touched him, but it hasn't affected Brendan at all. So luckily, neither of them were
No doubt
damaged.
Race Control will keep their eyes on that from within the commentary box at the moment. It's all happening. Further back, a couple of battles starting to play out here. Gordon Marshall has Matt Schmidtke, Adam Lavis, and Sam Muir for company. Lavis has now got himself up at a second in the open split. Jake Jackson, Cam Culverwell, 10th and 11th. Liam Banks, 3rd at the moment in the open split ahead of Tony Baker. And then Aidan Schultz. Joe Baldwin has fought his way back to 17th after it all went tits up on the opening lap. And I can say that because we're past 7 o'clock Western time. We're past the G-rated threshold. We're into PG. And now we're on our way home. Have a look at this. Matt Schmidtke, unfortunately, pulls out of it. He has to bail on that and jump into pit lane and get a little bit of a top up here. 2 laps to go. Can Adam Lavis hold on and grab an open split victory? Schmidtke's chance is extinguished. $4.2 was the stop time for him, but the cost, the invoice, is a hell of a lot heftier than that. Well, gentlemen, I must admit, even though it's Dench and a canter, we've got our value tonight. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely hard.
Just to add insult to injury. if Matt slows down just to get past the lap. That reeks of that reeks of like
that reeks of arrogance, really, to be honest with you.
It's like Max. It's like Max leads the entire the Spanish Grand Prix, and he's like, "What's the fastest lap?" No, we're not concerned about that. I am. What's the fastest lap?
Exactly. 141.411, and I'm just having a look at the other times. He's half a second up on everybody already. There's no need to add any further insult to injury because there will be a few people with the tails dangling between their legs tonight after this clinical performance from Dench. Up 24 spots, so won't get the bonus point for the pole position, but he'll get everything else. The clean race, the fastest lap, most positions gained, and the max points for the win.
And as we say that, he's just done a session best through the first sector.
Yeah, on the last lap. Are we surprised? No, we're not. No. We're really not. Matt Dench putting on another clinic and a championship-defining moment right here and now. Down the inside, there goes Sam Muir on Adam Lavis. Sam Muir up to 7th. Lavis fighting back on the outside. Oh, have a look at this. Muir gets it. Muir holds on for now. It doesn't mean anything in the greater context or scheme of things because they're in separate classes, but it is an outright finishing position at stake here. Dench Knight Whittaker, Wood and Whittaker, the top 5. Great to see both the Whittaker boys up there holding on. Nick Wood's put in a gallant fight, but it won't be enough. And at the front of the field, it's another Denchmark masterclass. Matt Dench.
Have a look.
Utterly dominant. At the Fuji
Yeah,
Speedway
no
in
worries.
Japan. We go Oriental, and he finishes it off with the fastest lap of the race. Oh, now, you can take me now. I've seen it bloody all. I mean, that is just ridiculous. Starts at the rear of the grid, fights his way through traffic, and makes everybody look silly.
That's not even like a middle finger.
141.187, the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, and he won't have even broken a sweat. Jared Knight second, Brendan Whittaker held up in third place there. Can't get him in the drag race to the line. Fourth to Nick Wood, and Chris Whittaker's going to get a top 5 finish.
He just took
Is there any stopping this bloke?
Yeah,
Can we give him a kilo, not a kilo, a ton of success ballast maybe?
He
Chuck
beat,
him in a V.
he beat the fastest lap by 3/10. He just took a bucket of salt to everyone and just threw it on him.
Yep.
Like, dude,
Yeah.
it's so ridiculous.
Post-race comms in the sim is quite salty.
I reckon he. Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah.
I reckon he's just one-upped everybody with a middle finger out the side view mirror on the way across the start-finish line. Extraordinary. It's not often you'll hear us speechless here in Central Commentary, ladies and gentlemen, especially me. But, oh, gee, what a night that was.
Oh, my Lord.
Banksy's had enough of it. He's just parked up. Second home in class and smashes into the wall and writes the car off. Have a look at this again. Have a look at Banksy. There's no sign of any braking here. No. See you later. I'm done. Thanks. Take me. Bang.
Oh. That's a big hit, dude.
And that's unfortunate because he was second across the line in the open split. Tony Baker was third. And just looking down the line here, a couple of sad and sorry walking wounded in all of that. Tristan Koch and Brett Bradbury finished a lap down. So to, that was it. No one else finished after that. David Baz was the lap down. So to, Dane Snadden is still trying to get home, but I think he might have been classified a lap down. Let's have a look at the race results if we can, please.
Unfortunately, we can't until Russ
Russ
Green processes
Green.
out, because it's showing him as sitting in pit lane.
Yes, there you go.
So it hasn't,
All right,
and
Russ
because of the
Green's
length
sitting in
of
pit
the,
lane.
it hasn't ended the race for him. So
Okay, copy that. No, that's okay. So the list of retirements: Robert McGrath, fuel saving. Yes, very nice. Robert McGrath out after lap 4. Anthony Adshead on lap 8. Russ Green on lap 11 or lap 12. And Blake Fitzpatrick out after lap 17. And Sean McClure out on lap 20. Tristan Koch is about to cross the line. But I don't think we need to worry about that. He is a lap down, as was Snadden, Baz and Bradbury. So I was right with my early suspicions on that. And at the top end of town, Matt Dench fuel saved his way to victory, smashed out the fastest lap of the race in the final lap, and beat the field by 35.5 seconds. Like, get out of here. That is nothing short of extraordinary and exceptional from the Denchmark. He's done it again. Like, just when you think there's nothing left for him to do, nothing else he has to prove, he accepts the challenge to start from the rear of the grid tonight and smokes everybody. And he doesn't like this circuit. That's the funniest part about it from a neutral standpoint. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let's bring in a bloke that had a fairly decent run tonight. His name is Chris Whittaker. And it's nice to have him back in the booth, actually. It's nice to actually see him back in the Porsche, because a couple of weeks ago it wasn't looking terribly good, CW, whilst I was in WA. But great to have you back, mate. Well done. Actually, it might have been Southwest Rocks, one or the other. But great to see you out there, and a solid run for you and Brendan tonight, both in the top 5.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Not too bad, just tyre wear. Yeah, the set we've been running, or I've been running the rest of the season's been really good on boots, but it was too slow around here, so we had a bit of a roll of the dice with the setup. But yeah, I only ended up with 23% front left tyre at the end there, so she was a wee bit slow, and yeah, then these bloody fuel-saving geniuses. That's yeah, that stuff should be illegal, but you know, it should only be illegal because they're good at it and faster than me and better than me and stuff. So they must be cheating. That's my conclusion. Yeah, but no, take my hat off to those guys. Pretty good effort.
But CW, here's the concerning and alarming part for you. They're able to fuel save and still be faster than you, my friend.
Yeah, I know, it's disgusting, isn't it? Should be illegal. Yeah.
But it begs the question, how much faster would they be if they weren't fuel saving? And that should be the more alarming point of interest for you, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't want to know, mate. Honestly, it didn't get a lot of practice in. I only did one session around here, and yeah, the most laps I've done around here. Well, I bought the track for this event, but yeah, aside from a gut full of laps over the years on Gran Turismo, which doesn't really count, I knew where the corners went, but that was about it. So. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Probably could have done a little bit better, made a little bit of a boo-boo with fuel levels. So we yeah, could have gone a bit better there. But yeah, for the race, that's probably about as good as it was going to get, I think.
2 rounds to go from this point. What are you hoping to achieve across the course of the next 2 rounds? We're off to Imola next week, and then on to Phillip Island for a triple header.
Yeah, it should be two good rounds. Imola will be good fun round there. Obviously, combination between the high speed and then the tight flowy stuff as well, tight and flowy stuff. So it's what you do is set up will be very interesting. Whether you throw a little bit of wing in it or try to dump the wing out and have a send at the end of the main straight. But yeah, it's a cracker track as well. Imola always produces good racing, and Phillip Island goes without saying. So imagine PI we're probably going to end up with a grid of 35-40 with any luck. I would like to think that's where it'll end up anyway, but that'll be a cracker. That'll be a cracker combo. Looking forward to the grand final.
And what else has been keeping you busy, please? Because it's been a while since we've had the chance to catch up. I believe there's some production sports racing coming up this weekend. Are you involved?
Yes, we're running again. We have a car. We have a motor. It's all running. It's been on the dyno. Everything did what it was supposed to do. And yeah, we've got about we'll play 2.5 hours worth of racing this weekend. So we'll see how that goes going solo. I'm not as fit as I once was, but looking forward to it, mate. It's going to be bloody good. Brendan's in the Porsche again, in the 991.1, and they're looking to seal up the Enduro Championship. And we're throwing in a random Enduro right at the end of the season that wasn't planned, but. Yeah, so 2 45-minute Enduros, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, and 2 20-minute sprint races each day. So plenty of lap time, which will be good. And we've just got to hope that the poor old Zed wants to drive back on the trailer by the end of it.
And let's be perfectly honest. Once again, we've got 2 race meetings happening in this state on the same weekend, only about 150 kilometres apart. But thankfully. In a state where you've got 2 XL championships and an overlap of competitors that do both, the XLs aren't on the agenda at one of those race meetings. And good luck to everybody competing both QR and Morgan Park this weekend, particularly Series X3 Queensland, that championship hanging on a knife's edge at the moment. Hey, CW, very nice to catch up with you. Very well done tonight. A bit of a lonely race for you in some parts. How'd you handle that?
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It sort of helped me just keep in the rhythm. It was all going well, and it was the tyres were sort of hanging in there pretty well and everything. It was only actually when Denchi came past me, and obviously there's fuel saving going on. I was catching him where he was, clutching and all that sort of stuff, and it took probably 3 or 4 laps until he was completely out of the tow. But at that point in the race, the thing was an absolute dog in the tow, and that just crucified the tyres. I was just. Yeah, there was a word or two said to Denchi to get the bloody hell out of the way and hurry up and show us what you can do, because you're cooking my tyres back here, brother. But no, I mean, he's done a bloody awesome job to do those times and do it on one stop. That's and then fastest lap on the last lap just to rub salt into the wound. But it's just Denchi doing Denchi things for a change, isn't it?
Yes, standard procedure, I think we call it at this time on a Thursday night each and every week.
There's the benchmark of the championship, isn't there?
Exactly right. Now, what else are you dabbling in sim racing wise for the next couple of weeks, please?
No, that's about it, mate.
Okay.
We'll have a bit of a break over Christmas and reevaluate what we do, and yeah, go from there.
And half your luck that you're on the north side today, not the south side, because Aiden Schultz's woes have already been well documented. Missed Formula V because he got held up in traffic because of a crash on the M1. Surprise, surprise. Down towards Yatla Way. Didn't even get a chance to stop in for a pie, the poor bloke. And of course, considering the time lapse up here at this time of the year, the 112-year delay, that put pay to any chance he had of racing Formula V. And once again, the daylight saving debacle rears its ugly head. Fill your bingo card up, ladies and gentlemen, and wipe it clean, ready to go next week, because I'll be coming in off the long run. CW, hang there if you want. I want to move on to Jared Knight in the meantime. Knighty, you led that thing for so long, and then you had to settle for second because, again, the benchmark just comes out and, you know, makes everybody look silly without any disrespect intended whatsoever.
Yeah, I think earlier in the season I said P2, I think it was at Jerez in the GT3s, the Denchi was very depressing, but I think this one takes the cake when he's come from the back of the field, done it on one stop and just been an absolute rocket at the same time.
In saying that, though, what were your thoughts on your own personal performance tonight, mate? Because you controlled the race for the most part with Brendan Whitaker applying the pressure every step of the way. It didn't ignite into a battle. It looked as though Whitaker was trying to just bide his time and wait for his moment, maybe even one up you on pit lane. But you managed to have his measure and keep him at bay.
Yeah, on my own performance, I'm pretty stoked, considering only real practice laps were with about 20 minutes to go in practice in this session. So to sort of drive the way I did for an hour, I was pretty happy not to loop it, and actually get a rocket start for once. So it was nice to see pass some cars off the line and not the other way around.
And well, I was going to say it was actually pleasing to see you have such a clean run, and you were rewarded with a good haul of points as a result of that. Are you starting to feel any more comfortable with this Porsche?
Oh, I think it's just a track by track sort of thing, and week by week, it's just I'm not spending a lot of time in it outside of Thursday night. So it's just if I feel sort of comfortable on the track, I'll probably do all right. But yeah, that comfort's sort of hard to come by.
Indeed it is. And as far as the rest of it's concerned, mate, I mean, we look at the next 2 weeks. Imola next week. Another Formula One Grand Prix circuit. We're racking up a few of them this season. And then, of course, on to Phillip Island. And as CW noted a few moments ago, Phillip Island's going to be somewhat the unknown, because there'll be a few wild cards, there'll be a few loose cannons, there'll be a few people turning up to have one last hurrah, A, because it's the last one of the season, B, because it's Phillip Island. So in terms of watching the P's and Q's, Phillip Island's fraught with danger before we even get there.
Yeah, well, I guess we saw the racing it put on in the last round of last season. So if we can get a bit more of that, and unfortunately, we're always going to get some wild cards jump in and make a few hero moves. But I guess it's as long as there's no one's championship aspirations are sort of dented, then go for gold.
Now, as far as championship aspirations are concerned, how were you sitting coming into tonight, please?
P nowhere, Zach. So
Okay.
it's literally just doing it for the fun of it now, I think.
Yeah, fair enough too. Wasn't so much fun for your teammate Russ Green. He had a rough night.
Yeah, it's he was not a big fan of this track, unfortunately. Russ, he's actually starting to like the car, but just not a big fan of the track. So he sort of didn't want to be cruising around the back there. So he jumped in and spotted for me, and was telling me Denchi's movements every step of the way. So I was very in the know about how close he was getting.
So when It's interesting that you say that because you reckon that this one hurts more than the GT defeat at the hands of Denchi earlier in the season. So, considering that you were aware of it, that it was happening, and there was nothing you could absolutely bloody do about it, when did the depression, if you like, kick in?
Before the lights went out at the start of the race.
Okay.
Yes. As soon as I saw him at the back, like he was a second in front of anyone in practice, and when you got that sort of pace gap, like he could have done anything tonight. He could have pushed and just cut his way through the field and still won by 30 seconds. I don't think it really mattered what Denchi did as long as he kept it on the black stuff.
Yeah, and so how do you put that to one side and just focus on your own race and your own task at hand, knowing that it's happening, knowing that you're fighting for second but you're leading the race, knowing that you got Brendan Whitaker pushing you every step of the way? How do you put the Dench factor to one side and just focus on you?
Oh, I think you just come to terms with it very early. To be honest, you just sort of accept your own impending doom and just focus on what you know you're capable of. Like I was sort of feel saving in that first stint, and then saw how close Denchi was. After the first few laps. I sort of just didn't really see the point in sort of trying to go for that one stop, and then I sort of had to do it in the at the back end of the race because I knew Chris was lifting and coasting behind, so needed to get the jump on him to secure second.
Just jumping in for an update here. 2 updates for you. Full time in the Socceroos World Cup qualifier against Bangladesh. They've easily accounted for them 7-0. South Africa have progressed along to 4 for 115 after 30.1 overs, make it 4 for 119 now, back-to-back boundaries. Only 19.4 overs to go there and an uphill task ahead, but at least they haven't lost a wicket since the resumption of play. Good run chase coming our way tonight and into the early hours of tomorrow morning on Nine's Wide World of Sports. The NBL match between Perth and Cairns is underway. You can watch it on ESPN and throughout the rest of the night. We've got Liam Banks jumping in for a chat. We've got Adam Lavis here as well, and Jared Knight too. Knighty, hang tight. I'm coming back to you. Let's bring in the Denchmark, the master. Just extraordinary from you because we knew that you didn't like Fuji. We knew that it was a if but maybe scenario, 50-50, you turning up, and then you come out and pants the competition from the rear of the grid. So you sacrificed the point for pole position in favour of clean race, fastest lap on the last lap, and you didn't need to do it because you already had half a second on the pack. But hey, add insult to injury, why not? And then just as South Africa lose their 5th wicket, by the way, so I've put the commentator's curse on them, 5 for 119, and then I'm assuming a clean race as well, Denchi.
We picked up 2 off tracks, so we were going for purple laps and just grabbed a couple off tracks, but not to worry. I was looking at the points table at the start of the night after work, and Sam was only like 3 points behind, so I was like, can't really afford to not turn up on an endurance 90-point round. So I thought, we'll turn up, and then just before the race, the old man sent me a message and asking if we could start from the back. So give him a thumbs up, and we sent it from there.
Okay, let's talk through the process here. Knowing the presence of Sam Muir, he's had a shocker. He's come home in 7th. So again, your decision to turn up tonight and perform has been rewarded twofold. So when was the decision made, and why did you accept the challenge to burn from the stern, as Nick Fodiatis would call it?
Well, I just wanted to turn up and grab some points, and when the old man said to do no qualifying, I thought that would be a pretty good idea. It'll give Sam a chance to grab some points on there. But unfortunately, he had a bit of a rough night.
He did indeed. Okay, so what was it like in the early stages playing the patient game? I mean, we saw you do it on Monday night, letting the McLaren boys go whilst you were at the helm of the Ferrari. You were able to use them to save some fuel. I take it fell into your lap just nicely in similar fashion, despite the fact that you were progressing your way up through the totem pole. You were also able to do so while saving fuel, which again adds insult to injury, the result we've just witnessed.
Yeah, that first lap was different. As much as I wanted to go faster, there was many cars wide ahead. So caution to the wind. We just tried to just poke our nose in on the odd occasion here and there, and yeah, just try and stay clear of everyone.
I'm going to have another update from the cricket for you in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. South Africa are reviewing. If it's unsuccessful, Travis Head will be on a hat-trick. It'll be 5 for 119. 6 for 119. So it'll very quickly fall apart for the South Africans if that's the case. Denji, we were watching on in all, mate. Because let's be perfectly honest. Let's draw some comparisons here to Monday night, and I'll get you to fill in the gaps for me. We went one lap less. We were a couple of seconds a lap slower. The race distance was the same. You had the opportunity on Monday night to get a gauge of this circuit and fuel range and a few other things. How much of that were you able to apply to tonight, given that obviously the Porsche is a little bit slower? It is different to the Ferrari. How much of Monday night served you well to set tonight up the way that you did?
Honestly, I drove the car exactly the same as I did on Monday night. The exact same, more or less the same braking points, lifting points. I just drove it pretty much exactly the same.
And people would look on and think, how the bloody hell do you do that, considering, I mean, yes, they're both GT3 cars, but there would be subtle differences, no doubt, between the Ferrari and the Porsche, and outright lap pace is one of those are just detailed a few moments ago.
Yeah, I think the Porsche has a bit more understeer. It's a little bit, I'd say it's probably got a bit more rear grip than the Ferrari, but yeah, overall it's got to be a little bit more gentle on turn-in for this car, so it doesn't understeer too much, but you can be somewhat aggressive on throttle compared to the Ferrari. So.
All right, mate, very nicely done. Anything from you, Daniel Correa-Sar? Because, I'm a little bit speechless.
No, mate, nothing from me. Just another textbook performance there from Matt Dench.
Yeah.
What was interesting was the last lap, because you had the fastest lap anyway. So did you have to go and smash it by 3/10?
Well, you've always got to see how fast you can go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised in the slightest. As I said, that was your masterpiece tonight, mate. I don't care what anybody says. That was you at your dynamic best, and the added 0.3 of a second advantage on the fastest lap of the race front was almost as though you were driving the thing one-handed with the bird out the window on the way across the line, because you've won tonight by 35 seconds. I know the margin was just slightly less, I think, on Monday night. Just extraordinary stuff. Well done. Let's get your thoughts on next week now, because we head to Imola for the Porsches. One last 40-minute blast before we go sprint racing at the Island. What are your thoughts on that? Because now that you've got a little bit of leverage on Sam Muir in the championship fight, I mean, next week is still critical, and it looks as though you're going to have to turn up and try and get the job done at the Island, even if you get it done in race 2. With race 3, of course, we have a 3-race program there, so you could still get the job done early, but you're going to have to turn up on the night.
Yeah, Imola's really fun track. The anti-cut curbs can be pretty treacherous, but the Porsche Cup car absolutely you can just drive straight over top of all those curbs. It's no worries at all. So we'll judge our pace during practice. If we're a lot faster, we'll probably just start at the back again. If it's close, we'll just try and quali like P10 or somewhere, just to try and spice things up a bit.
All right, very nicely done. Congratulations again. A masterpiece from you. Go and rest up, go and celebrate that, enjoy, and we'll catch up with you on Monday night, mate. Well done.
No worries, we'll catch everyone then.
No point asking him about tyre wear or fuel or anything like that. We knew he was fine on fuel, and it wouldn't matter with tyre wear it was playing a part or not, because he was still the fastest car on the track, whilst getting up to his usual standard tricks. Quite extraordinary stuff. Banksy, welcome into you. So you write the car off after you get across the line and take the checkered flag. I wouldn't have thought that'd be an appropriate way to thank the car for getting a second in the open split tonight, mate. Well done.
Thank you very much. Well, I think it's a celebration. Like, you've got to send the car off in a better style, and most people are just going to stop it safe, so I thought I'd go different and destroy the thing. It's done its job, it can rest in peace now.
Great performance, mate. And again, you were the other one stopper in the field. And Nick Wood Nick Wood also got home on one stop. His second stop is showing on lap 36. So he got home on one, Denchi on one, you on one as well. But you were the only one to achieve that from the open split side of things. So, yes, you lost out to Adam Lavis, but you still didn't.
Didn't Adam one stop as well?
Adam, did you one stop too? Oh, sorry, my apologies. It does say here one stop. No, sorry, my apologies. So Adam and you got home on one stop. So essentially that worked out to be a winning formula in both splits tonight.
Yeah, well, obviously being in the comms box for the GT3 on Monday, at the same track, I was like, oh, I should probably just give that a try. I've never actually done any fuel saving before, and I tried it on practice, and because I'm just not very good at the moment, because I've barely done any racing all year, and because I wasn't that good to begin with, so that's a really bad combination. I actually found that saving fuel and entering with a little less speed meant I made less mistakes anyway, so I don't think I was that much slower fuel saving than I would have been if I'd been pushing, because I would have just made mistakes. Like, yes, my good laps would have been quicker, but I'd have made more mistakes. Still made a few. So I went for it, and in the end I actually had a whole extra lap of fuel when I crossed the line, because I thought we might get a 36. So I didn't need to save nearly as much as I did in the second stint.
As far as the trial and error of that was concerned, it worked immaculately for you, and nice that you were able to actually use being in the commentary box and watching Denchit work to your advantage in the end. And I think I'm right in saying your best result of the season in the Porsche Open Cup.
Well, yeah, I've only done 2 races, so definitely my best result of the season. And yeah, because I had a couple of incidents at Watkins again last time out, so best one of the season. It's more where I'd hoped to be, fighting towards the top of the open split is sort of my goal. So next goal was try and beat Adam and race before the end of the season.
Thoughts on? Okay, firstly, you had to hold off Tony Baker and Cam Culverwell there in the closing stages. Just how much pressure was associated with that?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Cam was ahead of me and actually pitted on the final lap, and that's how I got 10th, because I was 11th coming onto the final straight, and then he went into the pits ahead of me, and gave up 10th. So I'm not sure whether he's completely out of fuel or what, but I suspect even if he'd chugged across the line, he would have crossed the line ahead of me with the pace he would have already had. So, yeah, but I mean, I'll take it.
Indeed. You're right. Go on.
Other than that, pretty lonely race. Had a bit of a because I was so focused on my fuel saving. There's no point in finding anything too much. Stuck behind Brett Bradbury for a while, and I kind of knew my strategy was working when after his first pit stop he came out back behind me and overtook me again. I was like, oh well, this is good. I should finish ahead of you then.
Yep.
Yep. So that was a nice little comforter halfway through that my pace was actually fine, because I had no idea, because I was all by myself pretty much.
And as Daniel was saying during the call, and Chapo as well, it appears as though this is the only circuit where you can actually, if you play your cards right, do the fuel save, do the one stop in a 60-minute affair.
Do you reckon? I'm not sure.
In this 10-round calendar. As far as 60, yeah.
Maybe. Well, there's no more 60-minute races.
No,
so.
That's right. So it's one of the few tracks going around. And there are reasons for that, but those of you that were switched on and paid attention on Monday night used it to your advantage tonight, and knowing that we went one lap less as well tonight than what we did on Monday night also worked into your favour as well, mate. Thoughts on Imola and Bathurst before I let you go?
I'm horrendous at Bathurst in pretty much every car. I've only had one good race there, and that was in an F4 of all cars. I don't know why, but I could do the F4 around Bathurst and almost no other car, particularly GT3s. I don't think I've ever managed more than like 10 laps without crashing. So I'm not holding my house up for that. Imola, I don't think I've ever raced it. So also, we'll see how we go.
All right, mate, very nicely done. Thank you to you again. And well done on second in the open split tonight. That would just leave Adam Lavis, actually. So let's dissect your night. because the biggest invoice you paid was when you got the 5-second penalty in race 1 for Formula V. Race 2 only cost you 1 spot, and you had a 10-second invoice there. Then you saved your best until last and got a podium finish in 2nd place. At one point, it was looking like first, but Chapo one-upped everybody on the final lap, as we saw. And then all of a sudden, you go about your business quietly and consumately throughout the course of an hour here at Fuji and bring yourself home with a much-needed W in the Porsche Open Cup on a night where your teammate fell by the wayside very early in the piece. So slowly but surely, it's fair to say that the night got better and better.
Yeah, it started off very frustrating. Like the penalties were annoying because like the first one, like old mate in front sort of was a little wide, then he sort of cut back across and I had nowhere to go, but because I wasn't far enough up with a penalty for it. And the second one, like Grant squeezed me on the entry and then stayed mid-track on exit, so I had nowhere to go. So that was a bit hard as well, but it is what it is. So yeah, and the third race, yeah, I don't know if Noble was playing games or he genuinely made a mistake, but yeah, when he's bobbled there at the hairpin, that compromised my line a little bit as well, and then just gave Sam the optimum run. And I did my best because I basically tried to not give Sam a slipstream, and I boxed Noble in, but yes, Sam got the better exit, so he just had just enough to get up beside us and get the sweeper done. So good on him for that. But yeah, the Porsches, it was like it's annoying on an admin level because after Bathurst with the fuel saving shenanigans that went on there and everyone was like complaining about how slow the start of the race was and all that, I deliberately took 2% of fuel out of the cars to try and deter that from happening here. But I annoyingly, Fuji is naturally less thirsty than Bathurst. So effectively, it was actually even a little bit easier than Bathurst to save the fuel.
You probably needed to take 5% out, is what you're saying.
Well, the problem is I can't do that because even now, with it being that 2% less, if you went full beans, you basically only got like about 22 to 24 minutes of fuel on board, which means if you go full beans for the whole race, there's only an 8-minute strategy window, which is very small, right? Yeah. So that's the problem. So basically, what I'm probably going to have to do is bite the bullet and change the Enduros back to just a single one-stop and just open the fuel window up next season. So therefore, it's like got a big fuel window, but theoretically, no one's going to be ever going to be able to make it on no stop. So there will at least one stop during the race, and it won't be as much of a fuel-saving game. But it's just a hard balance because it's such a small window to play with, and there's some tracks you can make that big difference and just manage to get there. I was surprised that Denchi got an extra lap back because not really, because I had no slipstream the whole first stint, and I was just able to stretch the halfway point. So Denchi was following everyone getting slipstream the whole race, so it was probably a bit easier for him to get that fuel saving the first stint, which set him up easy for the second stint because he basically had to do one or two laps less than he did in the first stint because he was basically already past the point. So I had to fuel save the whole race because of it. But and I was actually surprised. I didn't realize how far back. Because I wasn't sure how far back Tony would drop after he pitted, and then it wasn't until the last lap I realized I was actually leading. So I was like, oh, hello. There you go. So at least the start with a frustrating night, and there's other little frustrations, but in the end, it's good to get another win on the board. So although it's still weird though, because definitely not winning on pace, just managing to get myself in the right position and being in the right spot at the right time and playing my cards right is the only thing I'm just managing to get it done. So hopefully got 2 rounds to go. It's still not sure how much the boys got to catch me, but just go keep it clean and hopefully we can bring home the bickies.
All right, mate, very nicely done. You did something similar in a TCR race a while back at the Hockenheim ring, if memory serves. So no surprise to see you getting up to your usual tricks with regards to some fuel saving there. Well done. Thoughts on Imola next week, and of course a little bit of Belle Isle for Formula V as well.
Belle Isle will be interesting in the V's. It's a very bumpy track, so anyone with a DD is going to have a very, very fun time wrestling their wheel for the whole track. But it is a very fun track to drive. It's going to be one of those ones where qualifying is going to be key because you don't want to be in the pack and then trying to dodge the pinball action once one person makes a mistake at the start of the race.
So that's going to be key because my qualifying tonight let me down because I had Jeremy asking questions at the start of qualifying and I was having trouble with my clutch settings for some reason. My wheel forgot my clutch settings, so I had to try and reset those. And the next thing I know, I only had 10 minutes left in the session and I'm at a spin and I only actually got one clean lap in the whole session. So it was a bit of a compromised session in the V's for qualifying. And obviously those first two races the incidents were basically because I was out of position, so got to not make that same mistake next week because it's even more important, and go from there. Porsches at Imola, that should be fun. I think it's going to be a little tricky because the Porsches aren't great on the curbs. The top chicane's not going to be fun, and I think also like the bottom. What's the corner of the bottom of the hill before that chicane called?
Minerali?
That one, yeah. Because it's you got to turn whilst on the brakes there. There's probably going to be a lot of rear locks there, and people making some mistakes, especially because that outside curve between the two apex, like between the kink and the actual main corner, it's got a very distinct banana peel if you touch the wrong spot. So there could be some few people facing the wrong way there over the course of the night. So stay away from that. Try and get the curbs right, and try and keep it clean.
All right, very nicely done. Distinct differences in your races tonight as well. In Formula V, you were always in the middle of a battle pack in some way, shape or form. And from what we're seeing here from Mount Fuji, it looked rather lonely there for a long period of time as well.
You know, there was something happened coming up the staircase on the first lap. And it basically spread me from the field. So the entire race, I was by myself up until when Schmicky made a mistake with about 5 laps to go, and I actually got close enough to get a slipstream every now and then. That was the only time I really saw someone. So yeah, it was a very lonely race. But yeah, and that's why I was surprised when I saw the first, because I wasn't expecting. I was just trying to make it basically, and got there in the end.
And speaking of things that have happened on the opening lap, let's move from Adam Lavis. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. We'll have a look at some updated championship points courtesy of you in just a moment. Let's bring in Joe Baldwin at this point in time, president of the club these days, on the other side of the Nullarbor. Trucker, given how lap one went, the only way was up, unfortunately. You managed to claw your way back, fight your way back to 16th, mate, but definitely not the night you were looking for.
No, look, I was sort of annoyed with it at the start, but once I went back and had a look, I probably should have been a little more patient. I'd had a good start and got up almost to the head of the open, I think, and I seen an opportunity, and Gordon ran wide, and I probably shouldn't have stuck it in there. He never had time to know I was there, and he turned down. So, yeah, I've probably thrown away second in the championship, I would say, which is pretty frustrating after the good start I had to the season. But it's just, I can't buy luck in the Porsche this year. But we're still at the point where within the open, I'm still probably got a little bit of reasonable pace. I just don't have luck. That's all.
Indeed, very nicely fought back though to get yourself some points there, but as you say, it's a long haul from here. And how do you feel about Imola and obviously we know you love Bathurst. You're there every week in many different varieties of race cars. But as far as next week's concerned, I mean, you're not out of it yet. If something untoward, and we don't wish it upon anybody, but if something untoward was to happen on one of your opponents in that fight, there might still be an opportunity for you to bounce back.
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to help me to catch Adam up the front there. He's got a fair old buffer, but yeah, Tony's sort of nipping at my heels there in the points at the moment, and I'm kind of making it easy for him, right? Which is, yeah, I shouldn't be doing that, but I've just got to the little 1%ers, try and be a little bit more patient at the start. So I guess it's. It comes back to what I say every week, where I can't qualify. My qualifying is completely average, but my first lap pace, I usually get good starts, but I've just been unlucky. So hopefully we got Imola and Phillip Island, and Phillip Island we had a fantastic final there last season, and Imola Yeah, I think that's probably a good venue for this car. It's got a little bit of everything in it. So yeah, looking forward to next week.
And how are you finding the big chair now as president of the club, mate? It's still early days, but how are you finding it?
Well, I still haven't filled the boots yet. They've been well worn, but I'm trying to do what I can to get some fresh ideas in the club. We had obviously a committee meeting Tuesday night, and put forward a couple of ideas that were well received within the committee. So we'll put that to the members once we collect our ducks, put them in a row, and probably the grand final week we'll hopefully be able to submit something to the members via the final broadcast about what will be coming up, something in December and something in January possibly. But
Okay. Nice.
that we'll run with that one when we get a few more things lined up.
All right. Looking forward to it immensely. Trucker, thanks for stopping by as always. Appreciate that. Thanks to Jared Knight and Adam Lavis and Chris Whitaker and also Maddie Dench. Thanks to everybody else that dropped by earlier after Formula V. Thanks to Liam Banks. And Daniel Correa-Sar, thanks to you for your company throughout the course of the last 3.25 hours. Been a big night, but we've crammed a lot in and we've had a lot of fun. 3 different race winners across the course of the evening, and I don't think anyone remotely surprised at what else Matt Dench brings to the table. I mean, he's now, if he hadn't already proven himself and done it all beforehand, he certainly has tonight.
Yeah, 100%. They were good races all around. The Formula Vs really did spice up towards in the second and third round races. And then, yeah, as you said, the Porsche Cup. It's just, to me, I just like the idea that he's like, yeah, this will be a normal race. And his dad goes, can you start from the back? Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, it's just to make it interesting. Just to keep everybody on their toes in second guessing. And they've done it clinically and perfectly. Magnificent. And don't hold anything against him for getting 2 off-track incident points along the way. I mean, he ticked every other bloody possible box there was to tick. Extraordinary. And he leads the championship now by 39 points. 429 plays 390 on Sam Muir. Jared Knight back on 301 points, 287 for Chris Whitaker and 286 for Nick Wood. Beyond that, you've got Brendan Whitaker on 285. So how spicy is that, if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen? Jesus. 287 for Chris, 286 for Nick, and 285 for Brendan. That'll do me. 264 for Paul Wilson, 253 for Anthony Adshead, 248 for Dane Snadden after the jump start tonight, and 237 for Gordon Marshall. As far as the rest of it's concerned, actually, good point. Well done to Dane Snadden, at least, for persevering with it. He only picked up 17th in the end, but at least he stayed out there. The lesser person would have given up and hit the old rage quit button very early in the piece. As far as the open split's concerned, there they are. 449 for Adam Lavis, 335 for Joe Baldwin. So, I mean, yes, the championship win might be out of his grasp now on Adam Lavis, but there's still a podium there to sew up and secure. And he can do that over the course of the next couple of weeks, the next 4 races in this championship campaign. 335 plays Tony Baker, 312, 276 for Tristan Caution, 273 for Brett Bradbury. Forget about everybody else. We do this each Monday, Wednesday and Thursday night with thanks to Waste Options, Spreyton Ciders, Orbic Australia, Login Systems, Player One Sim Gear, Lobesy Racing, M-Wave Australia and Flash Graphics. We'll tick those boxes one last time before we get out of here on a Thursday night. And of course, we'll have a look at the schedule for you in just a moment. But before we do that, of course, we want to remind everybody that South Africa are in the 38th over, 6 for 148. And so with that match hanging on a knife's edge at the moment, because the South Africans will get them and then Australia will have to chase them. And it's not going to be a straightforward assignment, I must admit. We're on air Monday, Wednesday and Thursday night next week. And, of course, we're looking forward to that immensely. The other thing I wanted to mention before I run through that schedule in detail is that Socceroos got the job done tonight, 7-0. The Jack Jumpers went down to the Breakers in the NBL, and currently the second match of the Thursday night doubleheader underway with Perth taking on Cairns. And I'll get a score update from that one to you in just a tick, so hang tight there for that. Tomorrow night, Texas Motor Speedway for those American open wheel cars. 125 laps ahead of them, 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Saturday, the Mountain Men in the GT3. That'll whet the appetite for the 90-minute race we've got coming up there in a couple of weeks' time to bring the curtain down on the Waste Options GT3 season. So a chance to warm up for it on Saturday night in Mountain Men, 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time, 32 laps ahead of you there. Then, of course, we get stuck into Monday Night Motorsport from Sandown and Watkins Glen. Sandown for the supercars over 25 minutes, you bloody beauty. And then on to the Watkins Glen boot configuration layout for the penultimate round of Waste Options GT3. We'll have an M race first up, a pro race second up, top 10 invert reverse grid for the second race, 12 laps the first race, 21 the second. Everything to play for, a lot to look forward to, a lot to be excited about. Next Monday night, the final sprint round of the season, 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time. We're on air 7:30 for the supercars. Or 7:45, I should say, for the supercars. Eastern Daylight Time. FIA Formula 4 for the up-and-comers next week. 7:55 Eastern Daylight Time, a three-race program there. The GT1 Civil War is off to the streets of Detroit. The Grand Prix at Belle Isle Circuit in Michigan. That's getting underway, 9:40 Eastern Daylight Time. Wednesday night, Schultze and Dan back with you. Off to Lime Rock Park, first up, the Legacy version for the Downforce Legends. Second up, Interlagos. Geez, that'll be fun. That will be well worth the price of admission if you don't mind, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And it's 2 sprint races coming your way there. We're very excited about that. And then on the back end of that, we're back next Thursday night for the penultimate one of the year. And it'll be Formula V from what we now know will be the circuits of the Grand Prix of Belle Isle Circuit in Detroit, Michigan. So that'll be good fun. 3 races there. Then on to Imola for 40 minutes worth of Porsche racing. With thanks to Spreyton Cider, of course. 40 minutes, the final 40-minute race of the season. That's all coming your way, 7:40 Eastern Daylight Time. Hope you can join us for that. So we're done. Just recapping the NBL, Perth leading Cairns at the moment, 53-44. Been a good night for the Aussies, been a good night for us as well. Spreyton Cider, Thursday Night Motorsport done and dusted. Get your hands on some merch. John Simpson's great legacy of the club, of course, is that merch store. GSRCmerch.myshopify.com or merch.tgsrci.com for every other piece of information club-related, race.tgsrci.com. And on behalf of Daniel Correa-Sarr and the rest of the GSRC broadcast commentary and production team here, next week the boys will be on air on Sunday as well. Sunday, November 26th, make a note of that. 4 hours of the Nürburgring in the penultimate round of the Login Systems GT3 and Hypercar Endurance Championship. Can't wait to have you company for all that and more. 8 weeks down, 38 weeks down, actually, when you think about it in the broad scheme of things. Just 2 to go. The checkered flag for season 2023, or 1911 for our neighbours in Queensland, is in sight. We hope you've enjoyed it so far as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you, and we hope that you'll continue to stay with us to see it through to the end, because the best is yet to come. On behalf of the entire broadcast commentary and production team here, I'm Duck Caban. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy Formula 1, 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Sunday afternoon, and of course, quali 22 hours beforehand, 7 p.m. Eastern on Saturday night. The Cricket World Cup final on Sunday night as well. Go the Aussies for the rest of the night against South Africa. And we'll see you Monday to commence the penultimate week of not just the term, but also the year. Until then, have a great evening, everybody. Bye for now.